Yeah, it's that coming up from the bottom. Day $1, $0 type shit. The only thing I'm ducking is the graveyard. Really with the shit y'all niggas play hard. I made it to a boss, I'm selling 8 balls. I came up from nothing, I can never take a day off. The only thing I'm ducking is the graveyard. Really with the shit y'all niggas play hard. I made it to a boss, I'm selling 8 balls. I came up from nothing, I can never take a day off. Turn your baby mama crib into a stash spot. And we moving more aggressive than the last shot.
You're working hard today. Look at those fingers, man.
Buttons going all over the place.
I'm glad you didn't use your thumb. You'd have broke all of those fucking buttons.
I know, I can't do that.
Hey, would you mind turning my screen around for me?
Absolutely, man.
Appreciate you, bro. Your thumbs are working a little harder. We got a couple guys with us today, so you're just having to work a little harder. Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Can you really?
Almost like I'm right in front of you.
Yeah. I feel, man, zinger. I don't know, I don't know if we've ever done it without headphones.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
And I definitely like to hear myself way too much to give mine.
I know we're a pair of headphones short today, so
super fun. Not certain on the topic we're going to talk about today, but we've got a couple realtors that are on the podcast today out from New York. Good dudes that are building their business and super similar, super reminiscent of how you and I built.
Yeah,
our business and stuff. And something that was cool when Andy Frisella brought us on his podcast is he was just wanting to pay it forward and show guys that were out there doing it the right way, that were kind of taking some of his notes, but then also just doing their own thing. And he loves paying it forward to folks like that. So the biggest thing was just chopping it up and seeing what they're doing. And I always loved that because when you and I were first starting, it was always a question of can we really even teach anything, or should we be doing it? It's let's just document what we're doing. Because the Grant Cardones, the Andy Frisellas, the Ed, they're fucking cool. They're untangible.
Yep.
I don't fathom their money. So them talking, it's hard. And then when they go back to their stardom, I get it, but it's, it's 100 years ago because those guys are old as fuck. But between,
it feels like it.
Between exercising and Botox and anti-aging shit, they're old as fuck.
Yeah, dude.
So it's man, that was 30 years ago. Is it still done the same way? Some things. But as you and I have kind of paved our own way, there is some things that are different as far as how you market yourself and how you build. Not that they don't have validity, but man, they're so far ahead. It's it's just not even tangible, right? And I feel that can create gaps when you're starting.
Yeah.
So what's been fun about our podcast is where we were at to where we're at now. We've been taking these little steps like a ladder, and it's just been shedding light to dudes that are out there or girls that are out there that are starting or that are at an intermediate level. I feel the stuff we're doing is still not only super applicable to today's market, but man, we're still in that grind. We're still in that hustle. I'm not on a stage yelling at everybody yet.
Yep.
Because I'm still yelling at myself, And these guys are at it. These guys are slightly newer than us, I think, as far as real estate and things like that. But they're doing a lot of cool stuff, and it's fun to shed light for folks. Because I think most people, even if you've been in real estate for a while, there's a pivot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you're having to learn new stuff, which means even some of the newer agents might be better at the newer tactics that you have to start learning. And it'll be interesting to see if people make that pivot, man. I remember when I was a cop, we got this new computer system, software, and old cops, older veteran cops were fucking pissed. Oh, this fucking thing. And it's they don't want to learn a new system. But some of the attributes it had is as you got closer to whatever address the call was, it would automatically start zooming in. Right? You wouldn't have to touch anything versus we were touching stuff as we're flying down the road, super hard. Notes, call notes. So when dispatcher is still on the 911 call and notes are popping up, we wouldn't have to scroll to the bottom for them. They would automatically, the newest one would pop to the top so I could just take a look.
Yeah, cool.
All right, cool. Now they got a name. Or a note of scene safe, something, right? To where cool, I can slow down. I don't have to keep, right? Or just a map, but when we first got them, every once in a while, a map wouldn't work as well because there's just glitches in software, and until you put it into a police department, you can't work out certain kinks, even though the pilot's been developed. One little thing, and they just won't shut the fuck up, and it's man, looking back, it's oh, dude, good thing you're not an entrepreneur.
Yeah, dude.
Good thing you get this safe little check over here and you get a bitch all day and people pay you to show up. Because if that was your mentality out in the world that I'm in now, hey man, not only is nobody putting up with your mouth or hearing you, you're just gonna drown. Silently, as loud as you are. But it's fun, man. So we've got Avery and Anthony. They're from the American home team. They got us hats, bro.
They're good hats too, man.
Someone else got us hats, but it wasn't a very good fitting hat.
Sometimes we'll get hats, man, and you're just like, oh, thanks for the gesture, but I ain't sporting this.
It's just, no, it's dorky or it doesn't fit well. Like when we did Fit Republics, everyone wore our shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Kurt's idea, man. Kurt was doing it before I was even there. But he spent a little bit more to have tri-blended.
Yeah.
Non-American made. This is for fucking talking a little shit. They were American apparels and next level and whatever.
Soft as
but
shit,
because, dude, people wouldn't care. Like I said, Fit Republic on it. Like I think people appreciated our stores, but like it was a good fit.
Yep.
It was super comfortable. People wore them to the gym, and like the gym just got flooded with Fit Republic shirts.
Yeah.
So it's super cool. So like I feel like if people do want to have like things that are branded, it's like, man, go with something like decent. And these guys were also Marines. So if they'd have had me a fucked up hat, I would have been talking so much shit. I'd have wiped my ass with this hat.
Oh shit.
And I've been talking
He's
shit.
not kidding.
They're good dudes, man. Like I always try to like give a ruse before we let them talk.
Yeah,
Typically, if somebody's on the show, we mute their mic so they can't even like laugh back or like say some shit. But super fun, man. They run a team out in on the East Coast, and they came out to one of our events and just seeing what's possible. And that's the other part that's cool, right? Is just seeing that, but and watching guys want to grow, watching guys want more. Like that's where this whole entrepreneur thing. Like yes, our thesis is real estate. It gets super fun of just watching guys play varsity ball that really want to get competitive and dial in. That's when things get fun, but super fun. And per our podcast, Day $1 it's literally like, you know, like who you guys are, what you're all about, talk about the Marine Corps a little bit, but then like, hey, what was your literal day $1, you guys got started, and then how are you guys still approaching every day today? Like it's still that day $1 mentality, right? Because when it's your literal day $1, man, like you're hungry and it's ruthless and whatever, but then like regardless of level that you're at, there's comforts in every little level that you achieve. So we always like hearing from people, how do you still have that mentality of approaching it like it is? But they're also twins, so I think they're talking right now.
They could be
like telepathically to each other.
I know.
Some foul shit, because I just see funny looks from them.
Yeah.
Some foul shit. But Anthony, Avery, super appreciate you guys on the show, and like when you guys take the lead and have some fun. But I think it'd be super cool to hear, you know, like, man, just some twin shit, how you guys grew up together, why you guys got to go to the Marine Corps together, and then, hey, how did it venture off into business? And then, hey, what was that business, like literal day $1 for you guys?
Yeah, so growing up, like, he's literally followed everything I did, right? Like,
and we got, hold on real quick. We got to go to like the end and then come back to the beginning. So the real question.
Yep.
Did you guys ever date the same chick?
Yes.
And play that trick?
Actually, yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay. Let's start there.
That's what's kind of ironic about our situation right now is he dated my current wife.
Oh shit.
In 8th grade. So super kind of like.
I remember me in 8th grade. I don't know if I'd be okay with that. Were you a good 8th grader?
No.
I was all right.
No. No. So I think in the beginning there was kind of a weird dynamic there, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys ever like date where like one of you went on a date with a girl and then the other one did, but they didn't, like you took your brother's name?
The whole switcheroo.
No.
Okay, so nothing like that.
His ex-fiance, though, fucked up one time.
And thought you were...
And came up to me in the backyard instead of him, yeah.
Really? What'd she say? Like, I'm tired of you fucking other dudes. And and you turned around and you were like, what are you talking about? No?
No,
it wasn't
she
like
was
that.
like just trying to get my attention to have a conversation about something or whatever. And
did you run with it?
And I like turned around and
should've.
she's like, "Oh, you're not Anthony."
That's embarrassing.
No
That's
shit.
embarrassing.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So you guys got the same ass,
Yeah.
but a little bit different resemblance when it comes. Do you guys ever like decide like one's gonna shave, one's not gonna shave, or no?
No, we just go with the flow.
And normally what we do though is like with clothing, because like, you know, when we got on the flight out here, you know, I said, you're not going to be wearing the green American home team shirt, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm not.
But then did you?
No.
I
So
saved him.
so we'll ask and make sure like, hey, we're not wearing the same shit on that day.
Yep.
Right.
Because
But-
people still confuse us.
Yeah.
Right. And then do you guys ever like have the same thoughts or any like weird shit like that?
Yeah.
Weird twin
So
shit?
I will say I think the one main time I experienced it was I had just landed from South Korea in the Marine Corps in 2014 or 2015 or whatever, and from the airport back to base, we were on the bus, we were coming, and I had a weird feeling. I don't know what it was. I had a weird feeling I had to message him. And I just
He was
asked,
in Afghanistan.
Yeah, he was in Afghanistan. And I just like had this feeling. And so I said like, hey bro, what's going on? You know, or like, hey, what's up? Or
He's like,
whatever.
I'm with a goat at the moment.
And like,
Fucking a goat.
and like maybe an hour later or something, he said like, dude, it's fucking shitty. Like this just happened or whatever. And I'm like, that's weird. Cause
I thought for sure it was going to be, hey, bro, I just had the weirdest dream about Will and Eli last night. And you were going to go, dude, me too. No?
no,
Wet
no.
dream.
So back to fun stuff, right? So
Yeah.
now we got twin, weird shit does happen. We can confirm that.
A little bit. Yeah.
Little bit.
A little
A
bit.
little bit.
So you came out first.
Yep.
And he just follows everything you do.
Correct.
Let's start there.
Yeah, and you know, so we were into action sports. We were into football and baseball as a kid, very competitive, and we would compete with ourselves. And like the whole twin, like, have you ever seen that video of the twins just like beating the shit out of each other, like little kids?
Yeah.
That was us. And we would end up like, it would be a friendly fight, boxing or whatever, and we just get so pissed off and competitive with each other that we would end up trying to knock each other out.
Yeah.
Like it was intense. And so like we've always had this drive to like one up each other but also be excited for each other and that growth. And we wanted to do it together, right? And so we ended up out of high school, we realized like college fucking sucked. And so we dropped out after the first semester, joined the Marine Corps, and we went to boot camp at the same time. We're in the same platoon, had to shower together. Like,
So let's talk about that a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Because like they didn't let you guys get away with that.
So you know what?
we had preferential treatment. No shit.
So what was
Explain.
weird about it though was like when
Like
we were
they
in,
liked you?
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah when we were in
You gotta
receiving
talk to your drill instructors.
yeah
They were
when,
awesome, though.
When we were in receiving, it seemed like they didn't even know. Like the receive, you know, you have a separate set of drill instructors for receiving.
I know that.
Yeah. Oh, I know you do, but Eli,
He's like looking at me.
Yeah.
And everyone else
Eli.
listening.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So
Yes.
you have a separate set of drill instructors
Okay.
when you're in receiving. It's like
Yeah.
the first 4 days or whatever of boot camp, and they're different than your normal. So
They're just going through making sure you got medical
Yes,
records. They're
yes.
making sure your hair is cut. You get your fucking gear you're going to need.
Sure,
and then they get you all prepped, and then they get you with your permanent crew that'll have you for 3.5 months.
Yeah.
And so it didn't even seem like they put it together. They would be reading like the, recruit
Yep.
so-and-so, recruit Hamilton.
They don't give a fuck.
And they
Hamilton's a
did,
common
and
name,
they
though.
didn't even
Yeah.
fucking know, right? And we'd come up like receive the mail, receive sir or whatever, and they didn't even even notice the the similarity in
But
our appearance.
your
or whatever.
permanent ones did.
They knew.
Yes, they did.
And they would fuck with us. If I fucked up, they would put Anthony in the sandpit. And and basically like I would have to watch him or he would have to watch me. Or
But they don't
swap
know
up.
that that's actually funny to you. Fuck it.
Well, no, we would consistently get in trouble because we would laugh. We would laugh at each other.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they saw it, so they would
I think that's why they did it.
They push more, right?
Yeah.
We're not twins, but if someone was like, Will, if you laugh again, we're going to fuck Eli up.
Yeah.
I would piss myself laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it was. And but like we were competitive with each other, both squad leaders. We would intentionally compete to try and get that spot, right? And through boot camp, I mean, we were the only ones called by first name because we would both
Had
answer
to.
to Hamilton, yeah. And so we got out of that. That was good. That was fun. I mean, we learned a lot about ourselves and whatnot, especially like having a shower with each other and shit. Like it's fucking weird.
You guys
right?
are like, our
It's like
dicks
no,
are the same.
no. You got to keep your eyes up, right? Like
It's-
keep your
I
eyes
don't
up.
know.
Look
It's-
at look at people in the face, not you know.
Yeah.
In the eye?
Yeah.
That's
when it
more
comes to your
gay.
brother, when it comes to your
listen,
brother. No, you don't look at him
stop
in the
that.
eyes.
Listen to me.
What?
Listen to me.
Like this
If we're all in
generation
shower,
right here, right?
if we're all in the shower together, okay, and this is not because I'm against any sexual preference. I'm just saying it like I see it. If we all had to shower together like we do in boot camp right now, and I'm just like looking you in the eyes.
Okay, no, that's
because I
not-
don't
that-
want to look at something. It's like, bro, you look at me in my eyes, it makes me
He's
more
gonna want to explain himself.
fucking
That's
weird
not
out.
what I meant though.
Than
That's
me
not
looking
what I
down
meant.
and going, hey, bro, not bad. Like, yeah, I see why your wife likes you. Cool, man. Like, hey, be careful though. You might want to, you're
That's
bent.
funny.
Be
Yeah,
careful.
you're,
You know, like,
you're a little sideways.
that sounds
You're
like a
bent.
more straight thing to say
yeah.
than me just like doing this.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, I kind of like that. Yeah,
It's like, why are you so afraid to look at my thing? Because it's
Yeah.
going to turn you on. Like,
Right.
stop being weird.
I know.
That's
But
what you meant.
but no,
Yeah,
I mean,
sure, yeah, that's what I meant.
But I know what you mean because you're brothers.
Yeah.
It makes it different, right?
Yeah, it does. And it's a little more awkward, but it forced us to kind of like get more comfortable with each other, right? We got out of that, went to MCT and the schoolhouse together. Like like everything we did in the Marine Corps was together.
That's crazy.
All the instructors knew, and it was cool.
Why didn't they split you guys up? Normally,
I don't
would they
know.
split people
So-
up?
They normally do.
In MCT, we were in different platoons, but we were like
MCT is like after boot camp.
Got it.
Every
Your
Marine
combat
rifleman.
training.
Okay,
So even
yeah,
if you're
okay.
not going to the infantry, they still give you like specific infantry style
Combat
training.
training.
Gotcha.
In case, and like, man, when the war first broke out, like OIF1, you had a lot of motor T guys end up going on patrol and different stuff just because of the need of what was going on.
Okay.
So
Yep.
whether you're going to be that or not, they give you a certain foundation
Yeah.
beyond other branches of like how to implement.
Yeah. And so like I would there was four
Not
platoons.
MCT oil.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So there was 4 platoons. I would be like platoon 1. He'd be in like second platoon, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we were close.
Yeah.
And we did actually switch platoons one time.
We tried to fuck with them.
And
Didn't work?
It worked for the instructors, but the other students or like our peers, they were fucking retards. They just
They
those-
snitched.
knew. Yeah.
Those were the dry fire days. So you go and you lock in on a fucking barrel, a white barrel, and it was hot as fuck. And so I went and did it with my platoon, and that next day we switched. His platoon was locking in on that white barrel, and so you sit there for hours and just lock in. And so he got out of it, and I had to go do it twice.
Are you a better shooter?
No, I'm
No.
a worse shooter.
Yeah.
Damn.
Pizza box.
For some reason, that stress, man, of like boot camp and whatnot, like I don't know, it fucked me.
I'm going to put you under my wing.
Yeah.
Please do. Please do.
do it. We're gonna do it.
So yeah, after that, man, like we went to opposite sides of the world. I was in North Carolina. He was in Hawaii.
That's cool.
And but we stayed super close, right? I deployed combat deployments. He went out to Philippines, Thailand, like cool places.
You're smart.
And
You're smart.
he got to like.
So
work
he
out on
doesn't
the
follow
beach
everything you do.
No.
He watches all the dumb shit you do
and learns from it.
and
Yeah,
then
for
decides
sure.
whether he wants to do it or
For
not.
sure.
Good for you, bro.
Yeah.
He would come up with like the plans, and I would execute, and I'd get in trouble, and he'd
Yeah.
never get caught.
That,
right?
That's actually a funny story I do want to mention. So dating back to when we were like 4 years old, right? We would have our own like twin talk, like babbling, like
Yeah.
only we knew what we were saying. We would devise these plans where like I would pull a chair up to the freezer and then I'd run around the corner and stand watch. And then he would get up on the chair and like pull ices out of the freezer, right?
Grab the
And
fucking
and
cookies.
like we'd have like a code babble, right? Where if I said that, then we knew somebody was coming. And so he'd quickly hop down, like push the chair back and act like nothing was happening.
Yeah.
So we actually did have to go to like speech therapy to get rid of that babble
Oh,
because
shit.
we communicated only with each other
Crazy.
and like not really with other people because it was our own language,
Yeah.
you know?
But
That's
I mean,
crazy.
yeah, man, we're in relatively the same job in logistics.
Yeah.
Different aspects of it. I was more on the data side. He was more on like the use your body, like load
Execution,
everything. Yeah.
Yep.
And we, as we were getting out, like we told each other we were getting out and figured out what we wanted to get into. And real estate just fit. It was a low barrier to entry. We didn't have a lot of money at the time.
So you guys got into real estate right after the Marine Corps.
Right, like we were on terminal leave when we got our real estate license, when we actually like took the test and got licensed.
So let's talk about terminal leave a little bit. Let's talk about, like, were you guys just being brothers and kind of having each other's back in that window? Was there any transition as far as like just transition out of the military into like your own endeavor? Were there any stressors there? Was there any, just discomfort, that a lot of guys go through when they go through transition?
Yeah, I mean, trying to figure out like how not to be, because in the military, man, like you know how it is. You're so regimented. You like, regardless of whether or not you have a NCO or a staff NCO that gives you a schedule, you have a schedule. And getting out and being in terminal leave and becoming a business owner at that point, it's like, man, you make your own schedule. You have to.
But you guys
discipline yourself.
transitioned pretty smooth?
It
For
was
the most part.
It was
You didn't cry?
okay. And
Later on, I personally had some issues.
yeah, it got a lot harder
Yeah.
later on. I think, though, it was a double-edged sword for us where we got out and we got into this professional space, right? Where the language you speak in the Marine Corps is significantly different to civilian life. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean.
It's
Elaborate.
like, yeah. So somebody says something and you respond with kill, and they're like, you're like, oh, okay, that
Super
means like, cool. good
They
to
don't
go.
know what, yeah.
And so we had to transition from that language of like being blunt and being like out there to now we're trying to like appease everybody, if you will,
Yeah.
and kind of fit into this mold. And what that did, I think, was it
Please and thank you. That goes a long
right.
way.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
saying.
Right.
But at least for me, is it softened me up, and it kind of like let in that. It took away a little bit of the discipline because that hardness, if you will, was kind of what kept me going with the discipline.
Yeah.
And so then getting transferred back to that, or trying to move myself back to that, has been hard.
To the discipline side.
To the discipline side, yes. And so that is where it got difficult for me, was realizing like, oh, I swung so much this way.
It's like,
to
dude, I
appease
don't want to work out
civilians.
today. I worked out every day for my entire
bet.
life.
Yeah, right.
I bet.
Fuck working out.
I'm gonna sleep in this one time, and then you wake up. Oh shit, that felt good, right? And you don't, and then
Then you justify,
and
like-
then yeah, it's like gym 4 a.m, and then maybe I'll go at 7, and so then you do
Seven's
7.
amazing.
Next thing you know, you're waking up at 9 or 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and you're in the office by 1, and it's like your day's done.
But
right?
you got to feel it. It's good to go through those transitions. It's good to feel it. Like we've talked offline a little bit. Like I'm not a always or a never kind of guy. I don't like either side of things. Eli knows me pretty well. Like if I'm gonna do something, I just let myself have it. Like if I'm in a funk, I'll identify the funk and like not that I know what the funk is, but I'll just identify that like I'm in one.
Yeah.
And if I don't go to the gym for a week, I'm just kind of getting back into my thoughts, or I need a nap.
But
I
you
go
know
for a
damn well
truck
that
drive.
week isn't going to turn into a month. Is
No.
going to turn into a year.
No, because at some point, like you gotta
Right, right.
get rid of the poopy pants.
no chance.
But some like
Yeah.
pauses or stuff and like are okay, and like just feeling some of that disorganization and feeling like less productive. That's what's helped. Like that is what helps you get back into a regiment, because it's like, man, I'm not becoming who I want to be.
Right,
Hey, I'm not where I'm at. Like, and in the military, we've got a mission statement, right? We've got a commander's intent, and like this is what we're all about.
Right.
So then we adhere to that, and we got to take care of our brothers. So there's like outside induced, non-negotiable ambition. Well, for lack of a better word, ambition. And it is ambition. It's also, but like you're kind of like reborn into a brotherhood, man. So like,
Yeah.
you don't even think of whether you like the commander's intent or not. Like you came to the Marine Corps for this. So this is what it is. And you're like, yeah, fuck yeah. And you want to keep each other protected and successful. And right. So like, there's just little thought to that. And then you get out to the civilian world and you're like, you can be anything you want to be. And you're paralyzed by opportunity a little bit. And then like, or you try, you choose the opportunity of like real estate, but you're still paralyzed in the fact of like, I don't have to do anything.
Yep.
Good. Don't. And then feel
Right.
how it feels to do nothing.
Right.
And because then you go,
Yeah.
discipline is freedom, Jocko type of shit,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
hey man, if I want the freedom to be who I want, I've got to be disciplined in the areas to create the person I want that builds the opportunities I need to then
Yeah.
do that, right?
And so yeah, we struggled with that for a little while, trying to figure out that discipline aspect of it. But also we got under some poor leadership, under a poor broker who we thought was good because he was in the Marine Corps as well and whatever, right? But there were some ethical issues, right? And so we introduced him to a builder, developer that was going to bring his brokerage a shitload of money. And we were on top of the world, man, first year in and on top of the world. And then we realized these ethical issues that were consistent. It wasn't just like a one-off. And
Like what?
like he would, for example, someone would lose their job during a purchase, like a new build, that he convinced them to build over top of what they wanted, right? Because it was whatever. So it was expensive for them anyway, and they lost their job, and he forces them to close on it, even though they could have walked away, right? Because they lost their job. And then they have to turn around and try and sell that house while they're unemployed and they can't front the checks.
They're losing money.
They're losing money.
And he's like, hey, just close on it. Don't say anything. Close
Yeah.
on it
Yeah.
because,
Yes.
hey, it's already worth more than what you paid.
Yes.
And, hey, I'll give you a discount, but then we can sell it right away. But then if it doesn't sell it right away.
and not looking out for
And it
them,
won't,
man.
yeah.
And so it gave us
And by
a
the
bad
way,
name.
like it's just illegal. When
Yes.
you're licensed and you find out, fact, like
Yeah,
someone says
something's
that, like
changed.
you have to go talk to the lender.
Additionally, it was the builder and the broker who would then, every builder builds in margins, right? They need to make a profit, but they were building in additional margins and saying, "Oh, this is for your flooring allowance, right?" And it goes directly into their pocket. It goes directly,
yeah.
and so it's like it's like they're moving money around in these accounts, and then before you know it, the buyer, the one who's building the house, is paying $100,000 more than what the contract they signed would.
Just to pay the agent.
They would
and the
say,
broker,
yeah, they
or
would
the
say,
builder.
we have an upfront price for this build, what you want, and here's your allowances or whatever, and they would build in additional margins.
Yep,
and then
screwed stuff.
our names started being tied to, they're with so and so company, so and so is the broker.
Not good, bro.
Here's we're never going to respect that company, that broker, and if you're doing business with him, we don't respect you.
Yep.
And so we're like, we talked to each other and our other partner, and we were like, whoa, this is a bad deal. And so we started looking around and we jumped ship and
But at the same time, we were walking away from $80 million of
new build
construction.
listings. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Until like a lawsuit comes down.
Yeah.
Or they try cutting you guys out of the deal
Right.
or whatever.
But at 22 years old,
Yeah.
1 year in the industry, that
Yep.
was a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe.
Even just the potential for it when you're a brand new agent, you're like,
Right.
fuck, could this
Yep.
happen? Yeah.
And so I guess the lesson here is like that. I know the development that I was working on, it was $37.5 million of new build construction, and luxury. It was a great developer, big name developer, and we had started it. I had done everything to get it going, all the town meetings, all that kind of stuff. First year in the business, we were pumped about it. We walked away, and come to find out, less than a year later, that broker is no longer with that development, because we walked away and we had the conversation with our broker or not our broker, the developer and the builder and stuff, saying, look, this is what's happening. If you guys want to stay with the broker, cool, fine. But we're going over here. If you want to sign a new contract, we're down. We're going to do this. We're going to knock it out of the park. They decided to stay with the broker. We were too young in the business. So then, within less than a year, that broker then got booted off the job. I think because of more skeevy shit.
more shit.
And so now a different company and a different agent is currently selling out those projects. And she's making a shit ton of money, right? But we walked away with that, and we can sleep at night, right? We see that we're missing out on $500,000 in commissions, right, that we would have made.
Maybe.
Right.
But that's what that agent's making right now.
Because well, but she's doing it legally.
Right.
Right.
Because how real estate law works is like that whole proximity thing, and you guys being there, and like
could
whether you're at a
trash your
brokerage or
business.
not, you have a license, which means you are under your own accountability. Like there could be lawsuits you guys have no idea about.
Yep.
And we were more committed to just doing the right thing.
Doing the right thing.
And I think it's, you had said it, doing the right thing is always the right thing. No matter the consequence, it's still the right thing. And for us, it was, okay, we're going to walk away. We're still early in our business. We'll deal with this. We'll work it out.
We'll get another
and
one.
And we'll figure out how to go about this later on. But we need to do what's best for our reputation and for our own mentality of like, we can sleep at night knowing we did the right thing.
So prior to that, when you guys decided to get into real estate, right? That's like your literal day $1 right? You've PCS'd or you've EAS'd, you out of the Marine Corps.
And man, we didn't have an additional job. Our wives or whatever you had.
I didn't have anything.
Like my wife had a job. She was
You were
doing
single?
well
At that time, yeah.
So
I
he
was single.
didn't follow you.
Well, he was living in my apartment, right? We talked about this whole like rent thing and whatnot.
He had a lot of mistresses, bro.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah. Like my wife and I are trying to sleep, and there's a random girl coming into the bedroom next door. It's like, come on, man.
Therapy.
That's
Therapy.
That's not really true, though.
Therapy.
I think there was one.
I don't know.
There was one.
Whatever.
I'd have just, if it were nowadays, you could just
Okay,
blame it on
two
DoorDash.
including my wife, though. Two including my wife.
Yeah.
Wives
So-
don't listen to this. We're idiots.
But yeah, man. So like, me not making any income, and my wife is there like putting food on the table and whatnot. I had to grind.
Yep.
I was fortunate enough to where prior to being licensed, I put it out into the universe in the Facebook space saying, hey, I'm getting licensed. This is what I'm going to be doing. One of my buddies getting out at the same time. He went into boot camp with us, getting out at the same time. He said, hey, I'm going to be buying a house.
So let's stop right there. Like,
Yeah.
because we have this conversation with realtors or with other small businesses all the time, and like they want to wait till they're an expert or whatever. It's like, hey, you don't got to be an expert. You don't even have to wait until you're licensed. You just need to start documenting what you're doing and being excited about it. And don't try to be an expert. Nobody expects you to be an expert unless you're calling yourself an expert. Just document and share what you're doing. But people get insecure. And some of you agents that are within our network right now that listen to this, it's you, motherfucker. Stop doing that. Like, just expose and put it out there what you're doing, because you'd be surprised of some of your friends or acquaintances that are happy to want to. And when you're around good people that can also help with those deals, they're going to be okay. But some people are so reluctant, they don't even open their mouth for the first year.
Yeah.
And I think in hindsight with that, what Avery just said is that I think in that moment, and now we're just realizing it, is that social media is the great equalizer for brand new agents.
Big time.
Right? So you could never have done a deal before, but if you're still working on educating your audience, right? And you're just providing value for the shit that you know. Yesterday or today or whatever, we talked about not stepping out of your lane. If you don't know something, don't speak on it, but speak on the things that you know. And that's kind of where we were at, was we were just making video content, trying to establish like, hey, you know, we're new in this, but we know a little bit, right?
And sometimes
we're learning.
Like, new people can be great because they're eager and they're hungry, and if they don't know something, they'll go get the answer. You can get some people that kind of get into cruise control in this industry, and they're doing just enough to get by, and that's comfortable for them, where they won't go ask, or they won't go show you something, or they won't send you a couple more listings that are just outside the area you're looking at that could be a great fit for you. Like, there is no extra intuition that gets played into there versus like, man, if you're young and you're new, but you're also hungry and you're eager to do a great job, but provide that service. Hey, hard work and going the extra mile, like there is a service to
for
that.
sure.
Like, sometimes it's in the youngsters.
And I think like maybe Gary V, like we were on to Gary V maybe at the time, like that was our first jump into the self-development world.
Yep.
And he, you know, I mean, you know how he is. It's constant like video and
Content.
And he's been saying the same shit for the past 15 years.
Yeah, no shit.
Longer than that.
And man, so we got turned on to him, and that's what we were doing. And my buddy reached out and he said, hey, I know you're not on terminal yet, and we can't look at houses quite yet, but can you help me? And I was like, yeah, man, I have my broker's MLS login. I'll use that. We'll start looking at houses. There was no system, nothing to it. We went and we looked at like 3 houses when we both were on terminal. And the third one he ended up buying, and I'm talking with this agent, and this agent is like 40 years in the business, right? Like oversized suit. And man, I'm talking to him and I felt so inferior, but I was so fucking confident because I needed that paycheck.
Yeah, dude.
And how sick would it be like to have a sale before I'm even licensed? And so we ended up making a deal work with very little guidance from my broker, which I should have reached out to him and asked him some questions and whatnot to avoid looking like a dumbass. But it worked. It worked. And so we ended up plugging into the system that the broker had. And client after client after client, I think like that first year I did like 12 deals. He did like maybe 7 or something like that. And it wasn't great because we were in Monroe County at the time, which was average price point of like 93,000 at the time. And like, man, my first actual closing was a $10,000 trailer.
Yeah.
And I sold it to the park owner.
Hell yeah.
And I negotiated a $1,000 commission on that. But that was like, and then my buddy closed. And that was just like, it's momentum.
Sure.
And we got momentum at that point. And that's when we met this builder and the developer, and we realized, hey, this is a long game. But then we ended up taking a step back with the ethical things and made a switch. And we went to the easiest switch that we could because it was there for us. We knew people at Keller Williams. And, we ended up taking some time out of the business to regather ourselves, figure out what we wanted from ourselves, from our families.
Recoup money.
To pay off a lot of debt that we had.
Talk about those 12 deals a little bit, if you don't mind. 12 deals first year, no paid advertising.
No, so the first year, man,
Average.
what's that?
Average, not bad.
Average is like 5. Average is 5.
Medium Taco Bell sauce.
Yeah.
So
I love medium. That's my favorite.
like our broker was like, hey, you got to spend a lot of money to make money.
Okay.
And we're like, cool.
So that's what we did.
That's what we did. We bought like Z-Buyer at like Leeds and
Z-Buyer,
like
fuck.
We never got into Zillow, but it was like I was constantly calling Z-Buyer leads and competing, right? It was competition. And then I'd knock on, we did a lot of door knocking. We've been met with a gun at the door in a nice neighborhood. And a lot of door knocking, a lot of cold calling, just random.
But doing
leads.
shit.
Doing shit.
Yeah.
And man, like we're doing these corny ass videos and walking down the street doing videos, trying to provide some value, but it was corny, right?
So like we'd say something and then like
Were you guys Hans and France?
I don't know.
I don't know who that is.
Oh,
Might be
kids.
too young. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so, like, he would start the video out, right? And then it'd be on our phone. He'd say something, and then, like, he would, like, throw it behind him where then I would be, and I'd catch it and align it with myself, and then I'd finish the thought.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then,
if
like,
you guys saw these
it's like-
videos, you
It's
would
kind of cool.
it would laugh.
You're
Like,
doing like fancy transitions
it's-
before transitions.
Yeah,
are a thing.
right. It wasn't like cut out. It would just be like
Yeah.
the
But
next
that's-
scene is like the phone in the air. You see the trees in the sky and
Right,
shit,
right,
and it's
right.
like
That's
you
what
know,
we
it's-
do, though.
Yeah.
But the point, like, the issue that we had was we were so prim and proper, thinking we needed to, because our broker was the trench coat kind of guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And so, like, we tried fitting the mold of real estate instead of having real estate fit us. And I think you guys say that. And it didn't work for us because we turned off our own peer group.
Of course.
All of
Yeah.
our friends that weren't suited up, right? We turned them off. And they're buying houses, and we weren't the guys that
Yep,
they called.
Yep.
And so, like, those 12 deals, some of them were paid, some of them were Facebook, some, like, we had no system of getting, like, it was basically whatever fucking came to us, we took. I shared this story the other day. I had this one buyer from a Z buyer lead. They were a seller buyer, and I go into the listing appointment, and this house is just it's tired. And man, the hardwood floors were greasy, smelled like smoke. There was 5 people in that house, and they're all smoking inside the house. Then we sit down at the table, and this was my first like listing presentation. And so I'm like trying to do this listing presentation, and they're blowing cigar smoke in my
Yeah,
face.
yeah, roaches crawling on your feet and shit.
Oh man, it was awful. Like shit everywhere. Like it was bad. And so we ended up selling that house for like $45,000. But in order to for them to move out, I had to, help them buy a house. And this guy, he didn't have a vehicle. He took public like transit, like the bus every day. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. Like in the areas you're looking, there's no bus stops. So he sat in my car, and we were driving. The first time he sat in my car, he lit up a cigar and he started smoking.
Dude.
And I was so pissed, but I needed
my
the money
God.
so fucking bad. And I was like, I'm not gonna fucking say anything.
And you can't. You got yourself into
Man,
it.
I wanted to hit him, but
Cigar.
But you got yourself into it.
I did, and
He gets in your car and smokes it. Surprised you?
it did.
It did?
It did surprise
You
me.
fucking kids.
It did.
In police work, we call the house meeting a clue that they probably smoke a lot.
And just don't
Yeah,
give a
right.
fuck.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the thing. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was this Russian family that they didn't give a fuck. They
He'd have killed you.
smoked
Good
wherever
thing
they
you didn't
want.
punch him.
And but they were so grateful. And I found them a house, wanted nothing to do with them again, but they gave me a referral.
Yep.
And so like I got a referral from them because I did a good job, and like I went above and beyond, even though it wasn't what I liked. And from that point on, man, it was like I'm just trying to get
But look, these are the
Deals.
deals. But these are the deals you get when you start.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because they might have had 3 or 4 other people not want to put up with them.
Yep.
Not want to do it. Like,
Yep.
Eli and I were in a position of like, nah, I probably wouldn't go into that house. Like, I'd probably
Yes.
give that to a newer realtor that
And-
needs an opportunity.
And that happened.
Yep.
And Eli and I, and especially myself, like, dude, we had shit shows when we first started. Like, that's the bottom of the barrel. That's the people that aren't getting the help, that are willing to talk to you because you're willing to talk to them, and you just you got to earn your keep.
And
Yeah.
that one Z buyer deal, like on Z buyer, like you have a couple people that pay into it, and you're all competing over the same leads. And so there's this one dude that him and I would just compete, and we'd call each other, right? Because it was either me or him.
Yeah.
And I was new, and he was on this big successful team. And so he had the skills, and I quote unquote didn't. Well, he walked away from this house because he didn't need it. It wasn't up his alley. He didn't even want to interview for it because it wasn't his thing. I took it because I needed to.
Yep.
In order to put fucking food on the table and not feel inferior to my wife. Right? And less of a man, because that's the type of person I am. Like I want to put food on the table.
What did you do to pay for Z Buyer? To pay
Fucking credit card, man.
for
Yeah.
100%.
And,
That's
and so,
100%.
yeah, so
Eli's
Eli,
a master of debt.
dude, yesterday when you were up on stage, you had talked about you were $100,000 in debt.
Yeah.
Dude, so I wasn't that far, right? But that's what we did, was we put shit on credit cards. And so you talk about day one $0. We had a couple of those. We didn't just have one day $0. It like we would get to like maybe day 50, and then it would revert back to
Dollar
day
negative 100.
Yeah,
dude.
dude,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so there were times where just in order to pay our MLS dues or whatever, we'd pick up a morning job. Like I can't tell you.
Worked at FedEx.
Like, yeah, like 3 different times I had worked at FedEx, the 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. shift, so that I could then go into real
Avery
estate
looks like
and
the
work.
FedEx guy that like
impressive,
drops a
dude.
package off, but it's like, hey, your flag's crooked. Fuck you on your Ring doorbell, and he just walks off.
Yeah.
Go-
I would fix it,
Checking your
man.
shit like
I would
Ace
fix it.
Ventura.
No,
That's
no,
you,
but
for
so
sure.
no, we were just unloading trucks though. That's what we were doing.
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
in the belly of a
They didn't
fucking
trust
truck,
you with clients.
throwing
Yeah,
shit,
right.
out to on the belts,
Yeah.
and we'd do that for an additional $200 a week or whatever, and that's how we would pay for it because we were barely making ends meet, and therefore other expenses were going on credit cards. Right, rent was going on a credit card.
$20,000 deep. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and for us that was a lot, right? And so it
and
was.
we came from a family that, I mean, low
Bankrupt-
middle,
yeah.
middle class bankruptcies. You know,
Yeah.
we didn't have a good example of how to deal with money or what that even looked like.
And school doesn't teach that, right? So like we,
But you guys were kind of doing it the right
Well, and
way.
I think that's
Yeah,
kind of.
because
I mean,
no
yeah.
one's just gonna give you money to keep you off a credit card or out of debt. Like,
right, yeah,
Like we'll call it, what should we call it? The gray.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it's done. Like, and that's dude, that's
Yep.
what people like don't realize that you guys had probably from growing up broke, and you're like,
Yeah.
hey, we've always been broke. We're used to being broke. Let's put shit on credit cards because
Yep.
that's what broke people do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
But it's actually the right decision when you're that early in business because so many people, man, they
If
come
you're
into
willing to
it.
do what it takes.
If you're willing to do what it
Right.
takes,
I don't want to
like,
get the phone call. Somebody
there's
like, no,
I
fuck
went to this
you.
much credit card debt, but there's people that come into this business and they're literally calculating the hours that they
Yeah.
put in for like a home search for a client, and like if the reward on the side doesn't equal like the hours that they put in, they're fucking pissed, and
Yeah,
it's like
yep.
I'm doing all this stuff and I'm not getting paid for it. Where it's like, no, you literally have to give up money while you're working,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
order to have something eventually, maybe sometimes convert into a paycheck.
and yeah, and so we weren't the ones putting shit on the credit card. That was like I don't know, some
Stupid
trivial,
shit.
stupid shit, right?
Guns,
We-
yeah.
I mean that I'd be okay with probably,
Sometimes,
but so we're just putting business expense, like real life things, to make us get by
100%.
on the credit card, right?
Yep.
And so it was,
What dumbass bank gave you guys a credit card? I need to call.
I know, right?
Man.
Navy Federal.
Yeah, yeah. We'll give you anything, man.
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
They'll
And-
qualify anyone.
And so, it was just, and then, when just recently we had picked things back up, and after we both took a 9-to-5 job, and, I was the first one to ditch that 9-to-5 job. And,
So you led.
I led. But then I did hop back into working FedEx because at
Okay.
that time, my wife, we found out she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And so
Aren't women selfish when they do
no,
that?
and
Yeah,
so
man.
and so get this. I've always been the type where I'm like, you do what's going to make you happy,
Yeah.
right? And COVID started coming around, and then the forced vaccination started coming around. So full transparency, she got out of work because of that.
Yeah.
She was pregnant, and we weren't going to get her vaccinated.
No.
And nor was I, right? So I said, look, whatever you're going to do, like, we'll make it fucking work. And so I went and picked up another job at FedEx and just made ends meet because she was coming from an RN salary. So she was making,
good.
I think her salary was like 67,000. And it's not that that's a ton, but that's a lot just to like cut
Solid.
out right then.
It's
you know?
bills, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, and at
Plus
that point,
healthcare and stuff like that.
right. And so we had to figure all that out, and so that was another day one $0 was like
Yeah, bro.
figuring that fucking out as
But
young guys. It's we never had that example of like, hey, what do you do when this happens? And so it's like we talk with each other about
Well,
that.
it's just crossing bridges as they come. You don't
Yeah,
necessarily have
yeah.
a plan for everything, but it's just trusting that, like, when you're prepared to do whatever it takes, and like something that you guys are doing right now it was the work.
yeah,
Whether it's working a part-time job while having a full-time job. People think like, oh, hey, I'm a part-time realtor because I got a part-time job. No.
No.
You can be full-time realtor.
Yep.
With a part-time job.
Yeah.
Like, you just got to put more hours in and sleep
Or-
less. But you guys were putting in the work, and like when you work, when someone's just willing to be, ruthless about it and put the work in and not give up, like, that's really hard to stop. It's really hard not to be successful, at least at an intermediate level, and go make
Yep.
a couple $100,000 a year.
right.
If you're willing to do that, you start getting above that. That's where skill set and pivots do matter.
Yep.
But that work will go a long way when you guys
And-
put yourself in sales.
And so what Avery had said one time was like, yeah, we're building debt, but it's different because we're building debt with the faith in ourselves we're betting all on ourselves,
Yep.
knowing that it's
You're
going
the
to be
dipshit that's like super motivational, saying the right shit.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
so those
Yeah.
weren't
No, I
weren't
get
his
it.
exact words.
I know
but,
what you mean.
But yeah, I mean, and so
But you
know,
guys are. But when you guys
bet
are
on
putting the work,
ourselves.
you guys, because you can't bet on yourself but not be doing the work.
Right.
When you're doing the work, you
yeah.
figure it out.
And we knew that we would, and we knew that eventually all of this sacrifice and this hard work and everything's going to pay off. And we're starting to kind of see the fruition of that.
Yeah.
Right. And
How long you guys been in business?
so total.
about 5 years total.
Yep.
Yeah.
But really actively like running it as a business only about a year.
Yep.
And man, like my last day $1 was my daughter was born April of 2020. And I had just got locked on to a 9-to-5 job. A lot of college kids' dreams job. It was a production planner at L3 Harris, great company, communications company. Lots of funding, so it's a pretty secure job. And man, making 60 grand and like that's life, man. It's unlimited.
Level 3 Harris. Is that level 3 communications?
Yeah, so they make communication products for the military, for
That is
NASA.
them. Yeah,
Yep.
that is them. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if it's level 3, just L3 Harris.
L3, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's
but
that.
man, I locked
Yeah.
into this job with a decent salary for what a lot of kids would like, and it was unlimited vacay, right? Unlimited PTO. You just had to get approval after a certain point, right? So I start tapping into that, and my daughter's growing up, whatever. In about January of 2021, a family friend's like, "Hey, I'm looking for land. I want to build a house." And so I was like, "All right, well, I'm not really working real estate anymore. I got this other job, but let's try it. I'll see if I can help you." And man, I fell back in love with the process of real estate and helping people, and we closed on that like in March. And in March, I tried taking a vacation, but I was after my 4 weeks of PTO,
Yep.
and my boss is like, "No, man, we can't lose you." And I was like, "What about this unlimited fucking PTO?" And
He's like, well, we just say that because we assume
Yeah.
you won't be a
It's a
shitbag
re-
and
Right.
do too much.
he literally told me like it was a
You know, like
recruiting
all you
thing.
can eat.
Oh, dude,
you know, like all you
really?
can eat.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's all you can eat, but like there's like that one asshole
Yeah.
that just grabs the whole pizza.
He goes,
Avery.
yeah, like after week 4, like you have to get it elevated up to like the vice president, and the vice president's not going to approve it. He's like, it's a recruiting tactic. And I was like, son of a bitch. And so I took vacation anyway. And I was like,
Means you quit.
no,
Avery.
I didn't quit. They kept me on. They
Really?
kept me because I had a good work ethic. I was
Okay,
good at
yeah.
what I did. But that day that he told me I couldn't go on vacation was like, man, I don't want this life.
Felt it.
Like I'm making okay money, right, to support myself and whatnot, but I want to take my wife out of work. And I wrote down in a notebook that January 1st of 2022, my wife's going to be out of a job. And then in July, by my birthday this year, 2022, I would be out of that job.
Yeah.
And by December, I quit that job of 2021, December 2021,
Yeah.
quit that job. My wife wanted to stay on. She was in payroll, so she stayed on through the beginning of the year. And she left at the end of January, so we superseded those goals. But that was like saving money, doing deals. I had to have my pipeline secure. So like I had a daughter. I had a 9-to-5 job in a fucking factory with no service, practically no service. And then I'd leave work and go show houses, like couple houses, write offers, get deals, and then go back to my daughter before bedtime, hang out with my wife, and write more deals. And that was like that. But that realization of like, you're telling me when I can take vacation, even though it's unlimited,
Yeah.
like
'Cause
that's
but-
not cool with me.
Can't
Well,
do it.
no.
And
but-
that's a lifestyle preference for me.
Sure, but here's like the caveat, right? It's like, yeah, they are because they're also paying you.
Right.
You don't have to go look
Exactly.
for your money. Hey, we're
Exactly.
giving you the money for a service.
Right.
Yeah. So we're going to give you the structure and whatever. Like, yeah. So,
Yep, yep.
but it's like, well, hey, I don't like that. Cool.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up and get used to it, or grab your balls
Or leave.
and go do something else. Right.
Yep.
It's not,
Yep.
it's not the system's fault.
Right.
It just is what it is. And a lot of
Yeah.
people, like, as much as they say they don't like it, like they need it.
And I guess
Right.
the frustration on my end was the fact that I tried it before and I didn't make it work. And now like, all right, I'm grabbing my balls and I'm going to make this fucking work because that's a lifestyle I want, right? I want to take vacation whenever the fuck I want.
Well, and people don't change until it's too painful not to. I say that a lot, and like
Yes.
I really want people to like just have a better relationship with their pain points versus like maybe acting out because of pain points or ignoring pain points, like really just being like actively involved with pain points, but then processing them and just understanding like, hey man, that was a pain point for you. And like it forced, because you had already tried that before, right? But then hey, that forces you to like make that change and then put a certain level of intention and work ethic behind it to double up, to build some pipeline to in order for you to like create an opportunity to leave. Most people feel stuck. Like you are stuck because you're lazy. I can't get you to do anything after 4 p.m.
Yeah.
You are stuck. If you're not going to put this much work into something else for yourself to create the opportunity, like you have to create the opportunity. There's a window. You got to build a ladder to walk yourself out. And if you're not willing to do it, or don't just bounce and then figure it out when you leave. I don't know. Right? Everyone has their style, but it all is going to boil down to work that gets done.
Yeah, that's the best no you could have gotten right there.
Yeah.
You know, for real.
And like we were talking to you guys about, like at that point, the debt thing wasn't an option for us. It was like, hey, we're leaving this 9 to 5. We're leaving the comfort to get into what we actually want to do. We're fucking grinding at it. But we need to make it work practically for free because I can't afford to pay for anything, right? And otherwise it would cut into, you know, my daughter's fucking diapers or whatever. And so like, what was a free marketing source? Excuse
Facebook.
me. Yeah, and it was Facebook. And like, hey, I'm already big on Facebook. People already know me on Facebook.
What were you doing before? How did people already know you?
OnlyFans.
Yeah,
the whole twin, twin angle.
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah,
good.
man, I love
Nice,
that.
yeah.
A set of
American flag, like thumbs and shit.
2 sets of feet or something.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
No, man, it was always Facebook. Like even when we were buying Z-Buyer leads and stuff, like it was always Facebook. We would go on there and we would just like do videos and we would educate our audience about whoever wanted to listen. We didn't have a niche or anything at that point, and we just anyone that wanted to listen were semi interested in what we had to say. We would educate them, and it was just consistent video. And in year 1 through like 3, we were far more consistent than we are now, which is why it worked. And that's a flaw that we have now, is that we've let ourselves get too busy, quote unquote. But they know that they can expect something from us once a week. And then, you know, sprinkle in stories and this, that, and the other. But before that, man, I mean, it was the Facebook. And we stuck through that even when we had our 9 to 5s. We were still kind of like that motivational, like, hey, like, feel good about yourself, like, fucking work, do your thing, right? And there were people that were on the edge, on, like, the motivational side, that were on the edge of suicide that would shoot us a message and say, hey, bro, like, you just working and showing the hustle and whatnot, like, walked me off that edge. And you guys know, I mean, getting those messages, man, is powerful. And
you always seem
like,
to forget it too, right? Like you forget, you think no one's listening. And like you see the people listening, you see the views, but man, you forget the impact. And then occasionally you'll get those DMs. So like for people listening, those DMs that you do send us, like they're cool.
Yeah.
They're really fucking cool.
And I think the best part about it though is people got to be careful because you feel like you're putting in all this work for nothing, right? But
there are people watching.
There are people watching, and just because they don't like or comment on your stuff, they might be in the DMs there. They might be sending you a message. Or maybe they aren't, and maybe they're just a silent follower until that one day that they decide, hey, I need a home. I'm going to call this guy because he helped me through this feeling or through my
or
dad's
they just
death,
trust,
or you know,
they just trust that you guys are consistent and like, and we get that a lot
and
you know?
honest,
But that's why you've got to have conviction,
with
the process and what you're doing. And like the suicide ones are hard, man. Those always like piss me off because it's flattering, but then it's like, man, I almost don't even know how to like respond, you know, because it's like you want to be so careful because it's like, man, I don't need you putting your identity or the reason why you're still here predicated upon
me showing up.
And like, hey, are you saying that because you're looking for attention? Are you saying that because that was real? Like,
it's heavy, man. And,
you know what I mean?
It's heavy. And I'm super empathetic to that kind of stuff because like I was there, like in high school and whatnot. Like I was there. I know what it's like to be that way. And so I'm appreciative of those messages. At the same time, it is very heavy. It's a heavy burden.
You just got to navigate carefully.
Yes, but to Anthony's point, like the consistency of it, you never know who's watching.
Yep.
And I mean, we just kept doing that, and that was it. And this year, this year is our biggest year. And it's all just from Facebook and social, like Instagram and whatnot. But that's led us to like where we are right now. And now we're here talking with you guys, trying to level up and whatnot. But it's that constant like progression of like self-development, whether it's like education in real estate or education in just like mental toughness. Like, hey, I'm being a bitch and I need to get back to work. Like I've taken off too long.
It's resource too, you know, because like not being a bitch only takes you so far.
Right.
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 You know what I mean? Like you run through a couple drywalls, you run through it, and you start getting into like brick walls. Like, stop being a bitch. Just run through it.
Yeah.
Tools would help. You know,
Yeah.
because like the white knuckle, just don't be a bitch. Like I get it. I just think it's limited.
Sure.
I think there's only just so much grit per se. I think there's grit in all aspects, right? Like you guys are just hitting that level where like you're gonna cap some of those resources out as far as like only so much organic reach and for an area, and people aren't buying houses like they're buying shoes.
Right.
It's just finding ways to like become more scalable and finding more resources. Like, cool, keep that same grit, keep that same hard work, just apply it to these 3 new lanes.
Yeah.
Right. These new resources, these new paths that'll lead you down like that next.
Right.
That next
Yeah,
road.
and that's where we're super appreciative of you guys, like in the hospitality that you guys have allowed us out here and to learn from you guys.
Well, I was
and-
trying to smash twins. That's why you guys
I know,
stayed.
right?
I hope
We
you
had
a
this
good
whole
night
bet,
the
like,
other
But
who
then
can
I
smash
said-
who first.
Yeah.
Then I fed them all pizza and everyone fucking passed out. I think I fell asleep first, man. I fucking fell asleep on the
Classic
couch
rule,
last
man.
night.
Yeah,
Fuck.
yeah.
You know, like I had them right where I needed them, you know, and then like I couldn't capitalize. I'm getting soft.
I know,
I got to stop
I
being a
know.
little bitch. I got to stay awake through carbohydrate, sleepiness.
Yeah.
And fucking stay committed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that another driver too, and it's kind of the reason why we started following you guys, you know, a while ago, was like we've been in this mode of like, you know, we're semi non-conformist, right? So like being in real estate when everybody else is buttoned up, even though that's not how they are, or they don't say certain things, or they shy away from certain conversations, or they're just trying to appease everyone.
Yep.
We're like, you know, we're not that. I know that and their only marketing is like maybe a door hanger or
Looking to buy or sell.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And the Facebook messages, right? Or the Facebook posts are, hey, if you know anybody looking to buy or sell, you know, message me, I'm available, type thing. Or I'm taking on new clients. It's like, of course you fucking are. Like, of course.
Don't you hate those posts?
But yeah.
Hey, big news.
Yeah.
I'm taking on new clients.
The
It's like,
best one I saw yesterday
shit.
was, hey, we ran out of listings. Can we sell yours?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
come on, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
And so,
do better.
we, you know, and so
we need to start prank calls again like Bart Simpson. I'm like, oh, I'm getting this guy.
Yeah. And so, you know,
But we got a prank call with our actual numbers. So then they can look the number up and know it's me. I'm like, of course it's
Yeah.
fucking me, you fucking idiot.
Yeah. But like, you know, we've been thinking like there's got to be a different way here. There's got to be.
way is being you.
Yes.
Right. And
The way
and
is just
it's-
being you.
Yeah. And that's what we began doing.
Unless being you is a sociopath that doesn't care, that's different. Being you, but like having great intention behind,
Yeah.
hey, I want to be professional. I want to be a value add. I want to know what I'm talking about. I want to care and help people
Right.
the right way while being myself while doing that.
Yep.
Right?
Now, question for you guys. We talked a little bit about it earlier, but I'm genuinely curious, and I want to press a little more on it. Do you guys do content together?
Sometimes.
You guys said you kind of have your
Sometimes.
separate businesses.
Yeah.
Why don't you do it together? Is it intentional? Is it
That's
not
why they're
intentional?
here.
Nope,
What does
it's,
that look
Our
like?
little Padawans.
For us, it's like we I don't know. We just we talk over each other. Well, we don't really like put stuff on paper and actually have a free flowing conversation together. We're better off, in my opinion.
Subjectively. You're not better off.
Right.
But go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, in our minds,
Yep.
we're better off, or it's just like where we're at that day because we don't share business and we don't go on co-listing appointments and stuff.
Yep.
It's like we're not together all the time.
Yep.
And so, like, if I want to shoot out a piece of content, it's like I'm doing a video right there. And
As you should.
Whereas,
As you
like,
should.
Yeah.
when we're together, we do need to be more intentional about doing a video together. But we just
Well, and just like we talked about yesterday, creating content and capturing.
Right.
You're talking about capturing. Hey, I'm out there, I'm doing something, I'm grabbing content, capturing.
Right.
But there's also planned,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Pre-prepped, researched, creative content where like, hey, we're figuring out what people want to learn and what they're searching, and we're going to create content for the consumer. Then there's capturing of whether you want it or not. I'm out here doing this, and then we're capturing.
Right.
And
what's
that's
out
where
there.
we're learning right now is like Anthony needs like the Google Calendar, right?
Yeah.
And so
So do you.
Yep, I was just
Well,
about to
I
say
have
that.
it. I have.
No,
I'm like I already do it.
He already does it. I don't do that.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha,
I don't
gotcha.
capitalize on it.
Okay.
He does.
Yeah,
Right.
okay, so
But
you already
like,
got it, yeah.
but like putting that into the calendar and saying, you know, hey, this is going to be a filming day, and this is
Yeah.
what we're going to do,
And sticking to
right?
it.
And
But you guys
Yeah.
sharing a calendar, because like, who do you think has a calendar first here between Will and Eli?
was a calendar first.
Who had Google? Like, you already do it.
It's not that
Capitalize.
hard to guess.
I take it Eli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for Eli, I don't know if I'd fucking do it. But now that I do it, I won't ever not do it.
Yeah, you won't go back.
But that's where you got to come into play, and that's where you guys can put your emails together and share a calendar because as you guys build your brand together, because you guys are a brand together,
Yeah,
correct?
for sure.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
it's got to be transparent.
Yep.
Yep.
It's got there just has to be congruency throughout,
Yeah.
right? So as you guys start working together, you initiating it and having him have his emails linked up and him having the app, it's super easy.
Right.
And so like,
But then it's what I'm getting at though is like leadership, right? Whether
Yeah.
it's to your brother or anyone else, you initiating it and being the one that kind of builds a momentum to it. That's what he did.
Even if you literally got to like create it for him.
Dude, he
Right.
Link it
downloaded
up
the
to
app onto
yours.
my phone.
Like, yeah.
I gave him my passwords for everything. I only have Google Calendar.
Right.
Because he physically put it into my phone. Now, there'll be days where I'm like, hey, bro. And he's like, oh, fuck yeah. And he's going to calendar. I'm like, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I'm more
Well, and,
Google.
and
I'm
he's
more
booking shit, and he'll call me and he's like, hey, man, I know you got this appointment at blah, 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 blah. But hey, can we do this at this time? I put it in the calendar just in case already.
Yeah.
I'm like, God damn, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
But
hell yeah.
there's just got to be a systematic approach
Yeah.
to doing it. Like, you can't Kentucky wind it if you're going to go the distance, right? Like,
Right.
we're
Yeah.
shooting that distance. There's no more guesswork.
Yeah, and so that's something we're working on, right? And on like the financial model stuff, like with as far as like bringing our business together and going on co-listings and stuff like that, like in full transparency, and not to sound like arrogant or anything,
You
but,
are.
like,
It's okay. It's safer if you do that.
his level of business right now is not where mine is, and so I have a hard time saying, "Hey, let's share 50% of the income."
Yep.
When you're not at that level yet, right? We're about $1 million off, in volume wise, you know, and so for me, and especially like trying to convince my wife or talk to my wife about that, and it's just like I have a hard time with that. However, when we're both at the same level and we start pulling in like YouTube leads and all this stuff, right? There's going to be an aspect where we need to share
Well,
that.
where you guys can start is as we start training you guys and as you guys start learning YouTube, you'll split YouTube together.
Right.
Right.
That'll be a good
Right.
start.
Right? Because you guys are on camera together. There's calls that come through. People are seeing the brand as you guys. That's a great start to doing it. But what I will say is like, I like your brother. I almost feel safer talking to your brother as a customer,
Okay.
okay, than you.
Okay.
Right? Not as friends.
Right.
From like a consumer standpoint,
Yep.
right? That's a layer you're missing in your business. Whether you do more sales or not, this is a layered game.
Yep.
Okay.
And why
So-
is that though?
Because it's a consumer based. Okay. So like there could be a wife or a husband that you're too assertive for, that even though they'll kind of work with you, they're not willing to really say some things that could create some clarity during a transaction. And even though they'll work for you or work with you, they're not necessarily throwing a referral your way.
Sure.
Right? There's people that will talk to Eli. There's people that will
vice
talk
versa.
to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
The weirdest thing.
What's fucking fun is
Like,
like the dynamic of
Yeah.
not good cop, bad cop. Because it's
Right,
not
right.
there is no good or bad guy. But let's use that because everyone knows what the fuck that means.
Right.
There's a dynamic
Yep.
to good cop, bad cop. There's a dynamic to personalities. If you're looking at building your business, just like in any first seller or anyone else, man, like you want to capitalize within every skill set at every layer.
Sure.
There's business you'll do better at because of your brother's involvement.
Yeah.
Right.
There's potential. There's definitely like potential missed opportunity. Like if you're looking at $1 million different on, your guys' sales volume, and maybe there's 5 million you're missing out on
Sure.
if you guys were together.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
where you're going to start learning it. As you guys start doing YouTube and we start helping you, it'll piss you off when more people talk to him.
It's the weirdest thing, man.
But here's the thing. More people talk to him.
Right.
I push the needle on hard shit that has to happen.
Yep.
But in the interim, more people talk to him.
Yeah.
I'll still come in for hard decisions and whatever it may be. And I have more, dude, there are times where I know exactly what the fuck needs to happen. And he's listening to me. Guess who articulates it to the client?
Eli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I care?
No.
Does a real leader care?
No.
Whether I'm saying something and he can translate it, because of a personality mesh.
Yeah.
Or, dude, sometimes people just love me, but because they've seen Eli more during the process, he just needs to be the guy to say it.
Sure.
If my ego's involved, then I'm coming down and I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Conflict. Okay? So there's going to be times where, like, it's not a sales number that'll dictate value add.
Sure.
It's like skill set. Okay? Like, him saying things to client. Now, I might be better at knowing what needs to happen. He'll call me. I'm like, no, bro, we got to be here. Because if we're not here, then this isn't happening. But if we can get this to happen, then we're here with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's like, yeah, yep. But he's a better messenger.
Right.
I'm the guy that navigated it. Okay. I might be super good at chalking up football plays. Doesn't mean I should throw the goddamn ball.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
Okay. So like, that's where you in business, this is where it's good for you to get around good people, because I know you don't mean it from like an arrogant way. I know that.
Yeah.
However, you could get out of your own way a little bit.
Yep.
And realize you might be more of the navigator.
What
Doesn't mean you got the fucking megaphone.
And how we started, a lot of people don't know this. When we first started together, it wasn't straight 50-50. We co-owned the team. Anything that came in from the team was 50-50. But then if Will's sphere came to him, then it was 60% Will, 40% Eli. Vice versa.
Right.
And we did that for probably a solid year and a half or so. We did that.
Yep.
And then
a
what we
year,
started
maybe a year.
realizing was that, like, okay, all of our advertising, all our socials together, people are maybe contacting me, but they're from Will's.
They're seeing us.
Vice versa.
Yeah.
We
in
couldn't have
package now.
integrity going 60-40s based off who someone got the call, because we were doing so much of our marketing as a duo.
Yep. It
How
made
can
sense
we
at that
with
point.
integrity say it's
Yeah.
because of me and because they called and I answered the phone that it's for
Sure.
me?
And
You know
dude,
what I'm saying?
it was a fucking lifesaver too, because there were many months where it was like, man, he might bring in 3 that month. I bring in shit.
Right.
But then you zoom out over the course of the year, then maybe the next month is the opposite. And
He was bringing himself to
we
the-
ended up eventually being around the same. We never looked at volume. We always looked at number of transactions.
Sure.
Yep. We were always within 1 or 2 of each other.
Always,
Right?
yeah.
But then once YouTube hit, when we were really scaling, that was obviously people
Yes.
were
Yep,
calling
yep,
because
yep.
they were appreciating the duo. There's a reason why Sal does what he does. And maybe Sal doesn't push the needle as far as attention.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's you.
Right.
Doesn't mean that, like, there's not almost a more important role for Sal.
Sure.
Right.
Right. So like it's that, but not saying you guys are supposed to see that quite yet either. Cause like you might have like more of an eye for your skill set because they're more important early on.
Right.
And because of the lane of where you're getting business. As you guys grow into different lanes, you're going to realize, hey, not everybody needs to be what I am. We actually need more people to be different things. Like with where our business is at now, dude, if he was me, we wouldn't be here.
Right. Right.
But yeah, he gets half the fucking company
Yeah.
because it's just as important, if not more important, for sustainability and just different things that he's strong at that are required in addition to, right? Like you're great at going out and fucking hunting, right? It doesn't mean cutting that up and filleting it, fridging it,
Right.
cleaning
right,
it
Right.
is almost just as important, right?
Well-
So like there's things there too, because like, and just personality differences. It's good when you have a duo because
Yeah.
there's going to be reasons why people talk to him more than you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same for me, bro. People don't want to let me down. It's not because I'm hard to talk to. For whatever reason, people just don't want to fucking let me down.
Right.
He becomes more comfortable in some aspects. He's actually more cutthroat than me.
Right.
He just doesn't come off as such.
Right.
Right. So, and when egos are not involved and when no one's trying to take the credit for why we're winning, you'd be surprised what you can accomplish when no one's trying to take the credit.
Yeah, right.
When everyone is just within their skill set and they navigate. But again, not saying you guys were supposed to see that already. As you guys grow, a lot of that skill set will surface. A lot of his ambition for, because you'll also probably start getting more comfortable
Right.
in roles that just feel more fitting for you,
Yeah.
which organically launches ambition because you feel good and you feel strong at what you're doing.
Right.
And then you just start taking ownership and you're going to go, I don't want to fucking do that. It's great.
Yeah. No, there's shit that he takes care of. I don't want any fucking part of like the creativity side, right? Like the branding, like I'm good at executing on the brand and pushing that, right? But I mean, the logo, like
Putting it all together.
he
and-
put it together, the colors he put together. I mean, you know, the ideas for some of the like the YouTube videos like we're going to start and stuff, like a lot of that's his, right? And I know that we talk about this and stuff. I'm the one that is good at going out and executing,
Run
talking
the
to
play.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
and I am a little more cutthroat in certain situations. There's times that I wish he would be a little bit higher, right? Where like he'd get after it a little bit more in terms of like a client situation or whatever. And there's times that he will sit back and be like, dude, you need to chill the fuck out. It's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm. Right? And he's probably right.
Yes.
And I'm only saying that.
Yes.
Because I've had to chill out because things weren't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And then you know what I would tell him or someone else? Hey man, I know, but it's the principle. And it's like, oh
No
yeah.
shit, yeah.
Oh, we're gonna go there?
Yeah.
But that gives me the excuse of like, it's the principle that someone fucking is like, yes, correct. You can pontificate and get fancy with your words now to man, you can make any narrative justify why you're pissed off.
Right.
The bottom line is, are we being productive?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Do people still want to talk to you? Like, there's period. Like, for example, we had a guy super early on when him and I were first working together, splitting stuff, and we had this guy, weird Italian like restaurant owner, wanted to like super buy some like knockoff shit in the mountains, and we were helping him. And then as we were helping him, he was like, yeah, but I don't want exclusive right to buy. Like, I'm just gonna have fucking realtors in these different areas, and whoever can bring me the best deal.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a high price point, dude. It wasn't, and it was like, well, but the amount of hours we're putting in, and it's like, hey man, like that area is just on the other side of the mountain. Like we're good to like research. Like, hey, I'd rather you appreciate all the work we're going to put in versus like some guy could just send you one listing, but because it happens to be the one, or someone's in the right time to like sell it, like it can create this narrative like they did something but they didn't. And so I call him, hey man, I just think we should be doing more like this, and I don't like the integrity behind that. And like,
well, and side note, this was after we'd gone out with him like 3 times, and then all of a sudden we got a message of like, "Hey guys, I'm under contract on a house. Thanks for your time."
And it ended up not even working.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine
you
that.
know, and like the dude was an asshole.
He was,
but it taught a lesson because he's like, Will, I don't care. It's not illegal, and this is how I'm going to do it. And like, I'm gonna use whoever the fuck I want to use, and if they're in different areas because I think that's better, and if you want to put the work in to find the best deal for me, great. And if you don't, and he was super entitled.
Yep.
And the money he was wanting to spend, even though he pretended to be rich, wasn't that much, right? He didn't fire us or anything like that. We just decided like no longer work with him. He had already made his mind up.
Right.
Because it's like a lesson like my dad taught me when I was a cop. Because guys wouldn't be very tactically proficient in like the world I came from. I was a new cop. I ain't new at this.
Right.
Guns start going off like, man, welcome home. Let's right?
Yeah. Let's go.
Fucking apple pie, right? And I would call dudes out. You know, my dad told me one time, he's like, Well, you don't have to like anybody, but you also don't have to tell them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, like if someone's putting somebody in a compromising position, you know, like, yeah, but they're not gonna, it's like, fuck it, don't save him. If like I want to be a fucking idiot and get this fucking head shot off, like, look, whatever, man. But like, you know, like then this was another perfect scenario. He had already kind of made up his mind that the third time we wouldn't show this guy around because he wanted us to submit an offer on one. So we were submitting an offer on that one. And he had already made up in his mind, like, hey, if he's not going to, if this doesn't work or he's not going to pull the trigger on this one, we're just not going to.
Right.
I was creating conflict by thinking that I need to speak my mind, and the entitledness of me thinking that my opinion of fair or way of doing something supersedes this asshole.
Right.
No matter how asshole or entitled he is, this is just within what he's allowed to do. Will, you just need to decide whether you're okay with it or not. But but like then I create friction. And then where I was wrong was like, it was that client came from his pipeline.
Right.
So even though we were going 50-50 at that point, there needed to be more respect toward, hey man, but that came from his side of the field. So if you had a fucking problem, you should let him handle it. And I did tell him I had a fucking problem. And then I told him I wouldn't call him. I told Eli I wouldn't call the dude. 30 minutes later, I called the fucking guy. Right? Because then I figured out what I really want to fucking say. But like the bottom line was like, hey man, you can make it a big deal. And you can make anything a big deal.
Yeah.
And like, it's a fucking principle, dude. I'm fucking working my ass off for you. And I'm sure 9 out of 10 people would agree with me. Mm-hmm. The one person that would not agree with me was the one person that is really, it's his decision to make.
Sure.
Check your fucking ego. Don't like it? Don't do it.
Yep.
Right? But him and I also like working more on our communications and different stuff. Now, he didn't really convey to me his thoughts until after I made that phone call. Mm-hmm. And then he told me like, dude, we're good.
Dude. I don't
like
give a shit.
I'm writing this up, and this offer doesn't win, I'm fucking chalking him anyway. If he'd have been more transparent with me prior to the call, I probably wouldn't have made the call.
Yep.
Maybe. So that helped us communicate better. But there is a balance of like, man, just not allowing things to be such a big deal. And at the end of the day, just asking the right questions to clients or asking the right questions to yourself. Because now if like something like that pops up, dude, we've turned clients down.
Yeah.
We've seen workloads or just certain expectations and, hey, I'm selling my house here in Fort Collins, but like I want you guys there at every single showing. Listen,
Right.
Yeah.
you don't want a listing agent. And I don't say I won't do it. I say, listen, you don't want a listing agent at every showing for a buyer agent and a buyer. If they're unrepresented, we will be
Sure.
there.
Yes.
If they're represented, you want them to go through the home and speak freely and enjoy and not feel like I'm taking notes on every little thing they're saying or trying to force them to buy the house or just creating this friction of not me being able to go through because I'm trying to tell them too much about the house
Yep.
to oversell it when you just got to like let them do the flow.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why. Now, secondly, I'm just not going to.
And schedule wise.
But it's not because I'm lazy. It's because, hey, you're actually getting your own way. Less is more in that case.
Yep.
And if someone just isn't okay with them, we just don't do it.
Right.
But I don't need to like sit there and fight them over tactics. I know our tactics in battle work.
Yep.
But doesn't matter. Like it's their home, how they choose. But then like we just navigate saying yeses and nos to stuff better versus like friction. So there is time where like, hey man, chill out.
Yeah.
And it could be like, it's not ill-intended, but we allow like entitlements because we're professionals, because we're in this. We allow our opinion to carry more weight.
Yeah.
And because our opinion is probably right tactically. But a buyer or a seller, whether their opinion makes more sense or not, theirs is the one that carries weight because we work for them.
Right. Yep.
That's where like just navigating, where we've had more success of getting people to like expand their opinion is by asking the right questions and educating before we're even in the process of buying or selling. That buyer prezo, that listing prezo with how him and I navigate, what we were talking about offline.
Yep.
That's where like it's been super beneficial because we're preventing a narrow opinion. Because man, it's like sometimes with buyers or sellers when they're so inexperienced, it's like having a 16-year-old prince run some country in the medieval times.
Right.
Fuck, we're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And it's like,
Yeah.
well, but he's in charge. Yeah, but he's 12.
Right. Yeah.
But his decision matters most. So if you don't give him fucking milk and cookies, you're fucking dead, bitch. Right? Same thing. Like if people just aren't necessarily educated, but they have the power to make the decision, last thing you want to do is have any type of confrontation because it'll just push them into a more of a prove a point decision.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make anything better when it's already narrow-minded. That's where asking more questions and then prepping prior to an emotional state of being in the process, man, it helps expand people's vision. And they're open to changing their mind because we're not emotional yet.
Right.
Right. Yep.
Make sense?
Now,
Yeah.
so question for you guys is, when you guys were super early in the business, right? You had just maybe teamed up or whatever. Inevitably, everybody has those rejections, right? You have
No.
maybe people fired you, or
No.
you knock on a door and somebody
Pretty
meets
much
you
the
with a
best there
fucking
is.
gun or something. Like,
Ain't
right?
first, your last.
So hypothetically, yes.
Hypothetically, like
Yeah.
for any new agents out there, like, did you guys in those cases? And I'd assume, knowing you guys, you probably did, and you probably always do. But do you guys have an after actions report that you run on scenarios like that? Right. So
yeah.
if you talk to somebody over the phone and like, you thought you had it or whatever, and they went with somebody else, right?
So as far as that question, this is why brand is so important, and this is why marketing and placing yourself out there, especially with video, because people solicit us.
right. Yeah.
You don't get clients not wanting to use you. They've already had people from Zillow call them and all this bullshit, and they were seeing our body of work and our videos and our edge and at length,
Yeah.
our speakability and our success. They're soliciting us. They've made up their mind.
Sure.
Yep.
So we don't have any, and even when we would compete per se, having two guys show up to a listing or a buyer prezo,
Yeah.
I can't remember anybody that didn't use us. I think there was like one or two
Here's where we have had some good like after action reports. It's like, let's say
bitching him out in the car. When
if we let's say if we get a client that I'm thinking of one in particular, they're few and far between because again our clientele is usually so
and before
amazing.
you even say this,
Yeah.
you don't need to wait for a loss to run an after action report.
Oh no, no,
Because in
no, right.
entrepreneurship,
Sure.
it's not just about winning; it's how far you can take winning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
And that's why I clarified you guys probably do it anyway, regardless
Yep.
if you win or lose, right?
Success or
But,
loss,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But man, if something isn't just going smooth, Immediately we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
where did
Yeah.
this get fucked up?
Yep.
Where did this
We
communication
make
breakdown
incremental
happen?
adjustments like almost in
Yep.
real time. So
Yep.
him and I are communicating after phone calls at the end of the day. Because even if somebody's like a little confused or it seems like they were a little off, like I'm picking up on like those super micros.
Yep.
And it's like,
Will's going to their house.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Will, like what was coming off maybe a little bit irritable or whatever on a
Or just
text message.
confusing,
It's
yeah.
a phone call or it's an immediate phone call.
So that
and
was
then,
the
hey,
great
what are you guys
after
doing right
action
now? Let me come over if you got
Yeah.
a second.
Yeah.
so
blah,
glad
blah,
you
blah.
said that because early on, one of our active reaction points and things I was picking up on is levels of communication.
Sure.
Depending on what you're speaking about, text message is okay.
Yep.
Some things should not be texted.
Right.
Okay. Phone calls are okay. Some things can't even be a phone call. Some things should be in person.
Yeah.
But based off the level of circumstance, it should warrant, right? Like Marine dies in combat. You're not getting a text message.
Right.
No, you're knocking on that door.
I'm fucking being extreme.
Yeah.
No level of communication is going to make any of that okay.
Right.
But dress blues and a flag and respect is about as okay as you can fucking get without bringing that person back.
Yeah.
Now, I'm being extreme to just get people to be triggered and emotionally respond to that example.
Yep.
But depending on what's going on with an inspection or contract processes, like phone calls, Zoom calls, in person.
We had a client that called and he was slightly irritated that this ranch down the block from him that was way better was selling for more than what we were going to sell his house for.
He had more square footage.
He showed up to his house with a bucket of fucking fried chicken.
Yeah.
And like literally like I think we went to Boston Market or some shit.
Well, here's
Showed
he
up with
was
fried
texting
chicken
me.
and dinner and
He's
stuff
like,
and they
dude,
talked
what the
about
fuck? We should, and we were already under contract. We were selling his house.
Yeah.
His house sold to an investor. His house was just not good inside, right? It
Yeah.
was, the house outside, it needed a paint job. It wasn't terrible, but the inside was, man, it's tired, right? Like you
It
said.
was a mess.
And he's texting me, and I'm like, yep, hey, man, happy to go over some of those comps. And he kind of texted back a little bit more like super big black dude, right? Like just more on the surface, more, you know. And you could tell, like, when he was responding, it's like he's kind of like had his thought on that for a while because that ranch was on the market when we were putting his on. And you could tell, like, based off of his emotional response, it was like, you've been wanting to see that one convert to just see where it was going to go because you're going to be pissed or happy based off of the outcome of a home that's not even a comp for you,
Right.
right?
Right.
And then he got more. We were texting, and I said, hey, man, you got time for a phone call? No, man, I'm at fucking work. And I said, hey, man, first and foremost, there is an explanation. This is an important conversation because I want to make sure I take the time explaining this to you. What time do you get off work? Hey, man, I'm done at 5. Listen, I'm going to come by. Let's sit down in the kitchen. Let's re-go over all the comps. Let's lay everything out just to make sure we're giving this the time that it warrants to make sure that you understand. Like, no, man, it's cool. It's like, no, because I don't want you to leave this as a whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, dude, I grabbed some fucking chicken. I go over there in person, and then we showed it. But, like, the bottom line was like, hey, man, these ranches with walkout basements are the highest demand home in these 3 zip codes.
Yeah.
It's
In our
also
area, too.
it's also the least one made. Okay, so understand demand.
Yep.
It's the highest demand, but it's got the lowest inventory. 1 out of every 12 homes is made that way. So there's just an extraordinary amount of demand. In addition to that, it had more square footage.
Condition.
In addition to that, it had condition. And in condition to that, it was on a cul-de-sac, which is just, hey, these intangibles are just things that we can't, these are things that we can and can't change about a home. We can fix your home up and do whatever we want, but we can't change the fact that this one's on a cul-de-sac.
Yep.
And it's a walkout basement, and it's got all of its square footage on the top, which is just in super high demand right now. So what I'm explaining to you is that this is not a comp.
Right.
This is just not a comp. Here's where you're at, right? And even if we spent money fixing your house up, these other comps is what you'd be comparing it to. This is why you sold to an investor, because you made more money selling to an investor by keeping the money in your pocket and not having any expenses.
Yeah. Sure.
So then I reminded him of the money he saved. Some people get stuck on their sticker price because that home was under contract
Right.
for more.
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, if you want to put the $55,000 that needs to go into your home
Yep.
to still be $10,000 below that one, because your real comps are these over here on this side of the street.
Right.
And then you're going to have to pay a buyer agent, okay, in addition to me. But hey, we got an investor who's also a realtor, didn't take any commission.
Mm-hmm.
No, he was good. They paid us just a flat fee. So I reminded him of all the money he saved.
Right.
He's making out better in his position, but sometimes, the bottom line was, it wasn't about being right or wrong. I was fucking super right. But I don't want to be right at the sake of a relationship or
For sure.
no. What I want is understanding. And like, hey, that just wasn't going to be a phone call. Dude was fucking pissed off or in his head, and maybe he's having a bad day at work, and this becomes a punching bag. I don't know.
Well, and the one thing I want to note here too is that we were already under contract. We were like a week from closing. This house was selling.
Yeah.
It was
None of that needed to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
None of that needed to happen.
But I want him to understand.
Yep.
I want him happy. I want him to understand, man. Like that's because that's important for me relationship wise.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave it, in that state. And hey, if you know what you're doing and you understand your craft, your profession, if you just, hey man. And it also like let him chill down at work for 2.5 hours before I got to his house.
Yeah.
And then you'll be in a place where like you can sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you described who he was, because I think that that's you understanding who he was because you showed up with fried chicken, not
After work. Dude's getting
after
home
work,
from work. He's
right?
gonna be hungry.
Not with the cheeseburger, not with it was fried chicken, right? So,
Dude, it's not because he's a black guy.
It's not because knowing your client.
Who doesn't like fried chicken? I fucking love fried
that's
chicken.
true. That's true.
Will's so good at that shit, bro. Will,
I just had to be facetious there.
I don't know what it is with Will, bro. There is something about his aura that he could say I'm trying to the right words for it. The worst shit that if Eli said, I'd get kicked the fuck out of this place.
Yeah, sure.
But if Will says it, the way he says it, his energy or his aura with it,
yeah.
Dude, he's getting hugs. He's getting high fives. He is so embraced by people.
Yeah.
He can say whatever the fuck he wants to say, but just his energy and intention behind it versus like even nice, likable Eli says it.
Yeah.
Oh, I can get my fucking ass beat.
Yeah. And there's fun with that. There's fun contrast between his personality and my personality. Like there's a great dynamic there. But the bottom line is like, early on when we were running our after action reports of what's working, what's not working, everything like that, it was paying attention to the micros and the behaviors, and then not just seeing it like, oh, don't do that again. No. If you're not going to do that again, what are you going to do?
Right.
And it was just understanding levels of communication and then giving the time to make sure that you made that right.
And there's something to that too that I think is absolutely critical, and this is a very necessary ingredient to having a successful like word of mouth business, is you've got to give clients a story to tell. And if you're just doing, even if you just do a phenomenal job, there's no story to tell there. Hey, you did your job. Cool. They're not like at the gym like, oh my God, my fucking agent helped me buy a house.
Right.
And I got it at asking price.
Yeah.
No, they're not doing that. They're saying, man, these two fucking guys showed up. They're like these twin brothers and they got this whole thing going. And man, we just had this great conversation and da-da-da. And then, man, this one guy was doing this and this one guy came back over and brought me fried chicken. And like, there's a story behind all it. Even just you guys being together doing normal
business. And fried chicken was a great option because it was also like $14 for a fucked up chicken.
Makes sense.
We weren't baking it then. Now it would be lobster. Okay. It wasn't
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for the record, he fucking loved the chicken.
He did, of course.
Right. So like, but it's also like important when those after action reports and make corrections, because as you get more hyper vigilant to paying attention to that, it becomes preventative.
Yeah.
Not recovery.
Right.
Because what I did there was recovery. There might have been some things in that process that I could have caught earlier on, but didn't. And then as he got into his mood or whatever it may be, recovered, all good. But now it becomes now you start reading people and reading circumstances and then articulating and explaining things from prior, right, to where now it's on the front of things, and it never even becomes a problem that could have been a problem. So that's where like you get really good with like level of communication, is just seeing the patterns of like what stresses people out, what doesn't stress people out, what matters, what doesn't matter, whether it makes fucking sense to me or not.
Right.
And those reports, man.
And seeing the pattern, because when you've got several people that fall into a category of like just certain things, it's like, cool, this is where you build your communication, whether we think it's the most important thing or not. This is what's showing analytically to matter to people. Let's make sure we're covering this in that prezo to make sure that we're not playing recovery all the time, right? So very proactive, very preemptive, which saves you a ton of fucking time.
Right.
Yeah. They're important, man. They're important.
Now, so from the dynamic of a partnership, right? I mean, traditionally speaking, what all the traditional brokerages will say is that partnerships don't fucking work. There's no way to be profitable.
They're liars.
And, yeah, right.
I don't know what to tell you.
And, so for us, we're like, I feel like we have one team in our market center or our marketplace that, I mean, they're balling, right? They're doing really well. And they're a partnership. It's 2 females and they have a team of like 18 fucking other girls. And they destroy. They do really well. And so we're like, well, if they can do it, why can't anyone else do it? Why is
And
this?
I don't know what destroy
this-
means. Like, I don't know how much money they make a year.
Well, so they're both making.
Not Will and Eli.
Yeah. No,
That's all I wanna hear.
but they're
See, you knew I wanted an
Yeah.
ego boost, and you gave it. See how that
Not
works?
Will and Eli.
they're both making upwards of 750,000 on top of
and in a smaller market too, like
on
lower
top
price
of
points, yeah.
other investment strategies
Yep.
that they have, like within
But you
got to
factor in
stuff,
bills.
But like
You got to factor in bills. You got to factor
They
in
have
paying for
18
leads.
agents that they pay and provide
So you
leads
have
to.
so you have to factor
Yeah.
that in, because like when him and I make the money we make, and you look at our P&L, it's just different because we
Right.
don't have expenses. So like, and I'm not shitting on them.
Yeah.
But when you look at a model or when you look at success, like you've got to look at all of it, right? Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if you're running business, like what you make after that business matters. Now, I'm not saying you have to make a ton of money, profit, especially early on. But you need to be in a model where if you're sacrificing and not paying as much and paying yourself as much because you're paying it forward for the brand, well, then you need to be in a model where you can actually scale.
Right.
Because right now, I guarantee you, that's a fucking spinning wheel.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a revolving door of keeping people, and then some people leave, some people come, and they're only fucking staying because you're buying fucking lead, right? Like,
Right.
there's just a thing there, and it's hard to scale.
They might be better off just them.
Well, and
Well,
so
if it comes to like making more money,
Yeah.
guys, we
Right,
make more
right.
money with Will and Eli than we did with our team that was in the top 0.5% in the world for Berkshire.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Yep.
And we still didn't buy them leads.
Right.
They weren't a ton of overhead for us,
Yep.
but they were limiting as far as like coaching them, getting them to do more, right? Like we're just at a different scale now where we're unlimited.
Yep.
We make more money running this duo. So the model of
Yeah.
what you're doing matters.
Yeah.
So-
and like for them though, it's like in really a lot of the traditional structures, it's they have a ceiling of how high they can go because of if they're going to go past this ceiling, if they're going to break through, then they need to hire on another assistant or they need to hire on XYZ.
That's
another
why we got
agent.
rid of our team.
And so then it's
Because it was
it's-
all math.
it's
You got to
go
bring
right back
another
down.
agent. Because like,
Yeah.
hey, you're going to maximize potential with people.
Yeah.
Right? Some people are going to be maxed at like 9. Some people can do 30. But the people that are doing 30 ain't staying very long.
Any service-based business is gonna have that ceiling.
Yeah,
It's not even real estate. Fuck real estate. It's literally any service-based business.
Right.
If you are trading your time
for
for
money.
something to
Yeah,
happen,
yeah.
there's gonna be a fucking ceiling.
Right.
There's gonna be. So
we're
there's
making
always
money. We're making money right now.
There's always gonna be
Yeah.
that. But what's interesting is like, man, even you describing them, I promise the reason they're successful is because like just you describing them. Yeah, it's these two girls that work together and they have like 18 women that work for them. You're already telling me the story.
And oh yeah,
There's already a story that you're telling
Oh
me
yeah,
about them.
they're
You know, like
every single one of them is attractive.
Yep.
And not to say
Subjectively.
Yeah, right. I mean, not to say that that's the only reason because
There's
they're
a
attractive
story,
females.
but there's a story.
But yeah, but from everything, there's a lot of people, a lot of teams in our marketplace that are like that, have that same model. Maybe it's less agents, right? But
Yeah.
it's all females.
Yeah.
And I know because when we both worked our 9-to-5 jobs, we knew people who worked with all these teams, and they're like, their service was subpar.
Yeah.
Right?
Mediocre.
It
Well,
was. It was
sometimes people
all
just go
like-
work because, like,
average.
dude, you go to the fucking most famous steakhouse in Colorado. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. You just want to
We-
see what's up.
But it's like, it doesn't mean it's the best steak. It's
Yeah.
just- but for some reason, like, people go there because it's the place to go and it's paying the money.
It was
like,
on a TV show.
and it's not
yeah.
that there's not like that here in Colorado. And like, while everyone plays Hungry Hippos in Colorado, right? Trying to grab the marbles of the sellers and buyers here.
Yep.
Will and Eli just turned around and saw the 80,000 people moving here.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we create a YouTube channel, and then
Yep.
they're not even seeing anyone else but us.
Right.
They were working with us before they even knew anything else existed.
Yeah.
But they're choosing to work with us, right? Like they solicited us, but like instead of like trying to like jump in and grab all these fucking marbles that everyone else is like buying fucking zip codes and buying this, and it's like, man, like there's actually more marbles coming into the state
Yeah.
than that are in the state. Like,
Yep.
why don't we just turn around and like collect those?
Yep.
Sure.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so there was just, it's a pivot, man. And then with where we're at now, it's like, oh, well, now we're global.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, we don't even have to, we have a lot of agents here in Colorado and we love that. But now like our potential is, well, dude, some of our biggest hitters aren't even in Colorado. So if we had a traditional model when we were with Berkshire, it has to be agents here in Colorado that are willing to be in that office in Lone Tree at that franchise, or it's just not allowed, right? So it's like, well, the battlefield just got way bigger.
Yeah.
So now like we can have people how, what, like, so like that pivot, even though like technically you still live where you guys live, you're getting in a lot faster race car than they're even
Yeah.
exposed to.
yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like there's nobodies that make $1 million a month though. And those dudes love being nobodies.
Right.
Those dudes love going to fucking grocery stores and whatever and
Yeah.
live in their fucking house and like they do what they do. And like all the realtors in that market might not even know who that guy is.
Right.
And I'm
Too
like,
busy
dude,
putting out open house signs.
submarine, dude.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's really cool. So like, it really just comes down to like chess, not checkers, man. And it comes down to like when you're looking at your battlefield of business, what weapons are you acquiring? What tactics are you acquiring? And you guys are now going 3D. Everyone else at like local areas, it's very 2D. It's very right here, right? Versus like vantage points, right? Elevated positions, adjacent areas. Like, man, it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
And
cool.
and that's where like where we're at in our business, you know, we've done okay, right? And we're proud of where we've come in the last year, but hanging out with people like you, hanging out with the agents last night, yesterday.
By the way, just let those chicks in New York know there's some legit shit down there at that fucking event.
Right.
I guarantee you, all the agents, all the female agents that were there yesterday were like, tell them girls what's up.
Yeah.
They met their match down here in Denver.
Yeah.
Big time. Because those girls are here. They're ready, man. Like,
Yeah.
they're super attractive and they're dressed well, but like they're down to earth. They were
Articulate
there
well.
learning shit. They've been with us. And like, that's what I love
Yep.
is you don't feel the stigma.
Yeah.
Super pretty, super well put together, but talking to everybody, having a great time, learning.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yep.
and like that's where you get dangerous, man, is when you just start becoming a sponge.
Yep.
And we are, man, like anything we hear from anybody, we just soak up and try and apply it however we can, whether it needs to be in our own way or if we can model, like rip off and duplicate, right?
That team you're talking about, they're where you're at.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
They're more of they're a bigger market. They're in Rochester primarily. They'll hire out like a showing agent, pay them $30 to show a house out our way.
$30.
Whatever it is. Yeah. 35.
Do you guys know what I pay a showing agent?
Yeah. Probably a lot more than that.
Not normal.
Well, here's the thing.
1%.
I'll pay a showing agent if I can't show a house, which I get pissed about. If I can't show a house, I will pay that agent like $100, right, to go out there to do actual agent shit and not just open a fucking door. You know what I mean? Whereas the majority of the agents, they don't care. They just want and these are like Zillow leads, so they've never met before. They don't know this person from a bag of fucking rocks.
Yep.
And they don't know if I'm on that team or not, right? If I'm showing that house. And then you get a Venmo for $35. We had a winter storm in February. I showed a fucking house. And the house was a foreclosure. And there was 2 feet of snow on the ground. 8 o'clock in the morning, I go out there and I fucking shovel a pathway up to the door so that these clients who weren't even mine could walk up. You know what happened with those fucking clients? They've never met that buyer's agent before. I get an email. Didn't give them, like, they didn't have my email. They didn't have my phone number, nothing. I get an email the next day saying they want to work with me.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And I don't like stealing agents, especially from like
You didn't
agents
steal.
or clients.
No,
I
it was
mean,
their decision.
it was their decision, right?
They reached out.
And that was like, you know,
It was eye-opening.
but I got a Venmo for $30 or $25 because it was around the corner from me. Even though I shoveled the fucking pathway, 2 feet of wet snow.
Yeah, he don't care.
I couldn't even park in the fucking driveway.
Why should he care? You said yes.
Right. So
You should be so thankful for the dumb shit you've done in life. Me, dude, seriously though,
Yeah.
me included. Do you need that pain? You need that fucking
Yeah.
what the? Hey, you're in control.
yeah.
You're in control. Do something different.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. But you know, to wrap up my point is like, I'm super grateful for the opportunity to like come out and learn from guys like you and learn from all the agents last night and have that tactical information I can go and apply because we have a lot figured out. We don't have it all figured out. And there's a lot more that we don't even know that we don't have figured out. Right. And so like some of the tactical knowledge that you guys have because you've been through it, right? You've grown through it. Like, that's the stuff that we can apply.
You guys are gonna go back and rock the fucking boat.
That's
You know what I mean? Like-
that's our goal, right? Is to like make waves.
Do you guys know what I did before real estate? I was a
Now we
boat
do.
rocker.
Oh, boat rocker. There you go.
Yeah, I was a boat rocker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, that's so good.
I can see how you're good at
Well,
that.
so
Yeah,
I mean,
still boat rocking.
on that point, I think like coming here and you know talking to some of the people yesterday, right? Junior, right?
Yeah.
He's making. I mean, in the past year and 3 months.
He's so baller.
He's made almost $400,000 from his YouTube alone. He
The
said
softest
right?
spoken,
Now-
vegan eating,
and he's
just
so
baller.
different.
Now, and-
He's one of our
yeah.
guys in
Different.
Chattanooga.
and he's quiet, he's reserved, right? And vegan, like
It's dope.
But like us seeing that, right, and seeing like it's a little bit drier of a personality, but it works. And so for me,
And it works because that's him. Like,
Yes.
what I
Yes.
love about Junior, like I don't, and like I'm not even making a vegan joke. I'm
Yeah.
cool that he's
yeah, oh yeah,
But what I love is that Junior is just so kindly, yet unapologetically, just himself. Dude, he had 3
Authentically
Marines
him.
in my fucking house last night.
yeah.
Coming out as a vegan.
Yeah, no
You're
shit.
gonna get some jokes,
right,
bro.
yeah, yeah.
Because we're fucking idiots,
Yeah.
okay? We're meat eating,
shit.
knuckle dragging,
Yeah.
body dragging fucking idiots.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
get to say that in my house, and I'm not coming with you with some immature shit.
Yeah.
It was all in good fun. And he just sat there, put his ketchup on that fucking pizza crust.
Did
Yeah.
you really?
He took the cheese off.
Yeah.
He took the cheese
And
off.
fucking smiled and just
That's
left at our dumb
hilarious.
shit while he was eating. It was like
Such a good dude.
he
It's
was
dope,
so
though.
he was like a philosopher
Yeah.
under a tree eating an apple, letting peasants make fun of him. Like
Yep, yep,
you,
yep.
you could just tell like he was just so, and he knew we were just being funny.
Yeah.
But he was just so comfortable with himself. But like what I love about the money he's making and the success he's having is, one, he's doing it on his own.
Right.
Okay. But 2, it's, man, if he can do it, I can do it. You're right.
And-
However, he works hard.
Yeah.
He's consistent.
Yep.
But the bottom line is it's working because people feel that he's being him.
Yes.
And then the people that are attracted to him gravitate to him, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yep.
And you guys being yourselves are going to have the same form of power.
And my point though is that like seeing him, I watched his videos last night and I saw how it could be done, and I'm thinking to myself like, why the fuck aren't we doing that, right? Why aren't we there?
Why can't
And
we?
so then it's also like I've always said like, don't judge yourself through the single lens of a moment, right? Or the lens of a single moment, right? And that goes for other people too. Don't judge, Will and Eli through the lens of a single moment, right? They made a bad decision or a good decision, and
Never.
right, and
A lot of them.
And so like for us is like it's like coming out here.
he immediately thought mushrooms and cocaine when he said they're bad decisions.
A lot of
Like,
stuff.
Yeah.
Just not at the same time.
Yeah.
Separated. Yeah.
So like coming out and meeting a lot of the guys and gals at the event yesterday, right? And seeing that they're producing big numbers,
Yep.
right? And hearing that and like looking at us and we're just small fish in this, right? And it's not judging ourselves through that and knowing
It's
that
what's possible.
time's going to take its
Right.
course. And that was the biggest thing, like going to, Will's house and like seeing, oh shit, this is what it looks like for me to stand on the balcony overlooking this view and seeing
real.
myself in that.
We've
And it's real.
never never been in $1 million house.
This morning when we were getting ready, I
Never.
said,
I do need to tell you that it's
It's
a,
three. I know.
yeah.
It's 3 million.
Don't scare everybody.
No,
Listen.
no. 3 million. I'm just saying. We've never been in $1 million house, let alone.
I have to.
I mean,
like,
yeah.
anytime I hear he's like
Yeah,
more
yeah,
of like
yeah.
that one, it's like, well, I have to outdo.
Yeah.
I got to be more of that one than
Yeah.
he can be of that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
It has to happen.
This morning when we were getting ready, I walked into the room and I'm like, dude, this fucking hallway is bigger than, it's literally longer
know,
than
right?
my house is. I have a 1,500 square foot ranch, right? But that basement
That portion of
hallway,
the hallway.
and then the room that Avery stayed in, that room is bigger than our 3 bedrooms in our house combined, right?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's like it's we have nice houses.
Yep, yep.
It's 1,500 square foot ranches, right? But like that is seeing ourselves wake up in that bedroom with fucking 15-foot ceilings or whatever
Yep,
it is.
yep, yep.
It's like, holy shit, this is what this looks like. And
Yeah.
visualizing that, because we've never seen ourselves from the balcony of a house, a $3 million house that overlooks the valley or
And it's good to
Castle
hear
Rock.
because
becomes real, man.
my perspective living there is like, fuck, dude, I got to walk down that hallway and like open the door and let the dog out.
Dude, and again,
Fuck.
man.
Yeah.
it's-
And I start yelling at my daughter, Chloe, come here. Like, hey, listen, pack
Go
a
do it,
lunch. Go down the hallway.
He's going to
The
have like,
fucking dogs out.
what are those things? Are those called segways or those things where you like
Yeah,
ride
yeah,
around?
yeah.
yeah. He needs one of those for his house.
I'm gonna drive around like that dude from X-Men, like the
But
leader.
dude, here's the thing, man. Like, not even 5 years ago, man, when he was in the fucking pantry.
Yeah.
Guys, this is
Yeah,
what's
right.
gonna,
Like,
this,
holy
Exactly,
shit.
this
yeah.
is what's gonna piss you off yet make it possible for you. January 5th, this coming year,
Yeah.
is my 5-year anniversary.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So like,
Goddamn.
maybe it's like, oh fuck you, but it's also like, hey man, it's possible. You guys
Yeah.
turn it up. You guys get around in front of the right people. Like you're gonna win, and it's because it's like, dude, time isn't always justice.
Right.
20 years of experience could be, or it could be 1 year of experience that you did 20 times.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, not the same thing.
Yeah.
So like, time is not always justice. You guys being an environment where you guys are watching all those agents that were around us that are balling out. A lot of them are 6 years and younger, and it's like it's about the intention, the tenacity, right, the open mindedness, and just going out and taking what's yours in life, and not letting other people that are senior in the industry make you feel limited or you got to wait your time. Like, no. Abundance. You guys going out and winning is not taking any money out of anybody's pocket.
And I think the coolest thing for us right now is that, you know, we're out here and we see that, like, you guys, right, you're like normal fucking dudes. You shoot the shit just like everyone else. You go and wipe your ass and get shit on your hands sometimes, like everyone else, right? And it's like, yet you have a $3 million house, and Eli, I don't know what your house is.
He's Jewish.
Not that matters, right?
So Eli buys a $200,000 house, but then he comes over to mine all the time.
But I mean, your GCI,
but he doesn't buy dinner or contribute.
But your GCI from YouTube alone is $1 million each, right? Something like that.
Just over.
And, and so it's like, but then seeing how down to earth it is, right? And how perceivably normal fucking people,
super normal. You guys saw fucking Nerf guns and Legos in my house, man.
Right.
It's not something like Taj Mahal. Don't touch it. It's like
not a spick and span.
Talking to your wife
right?
and your kids, man, it's like that. It's resemblant of our household. It's the same fucking thing.
It's the same.
It's the same thing. Time just hasn't caught up with us yet.
100%.
And we recognize that there's some knowledge and some things that we need to grow through to get there, to have that $3 million house.
But you're going to be who you like. And this is what I'm so big on. Like when people try to like overthink like getting somewhere, it's like, hey man, like when we had a buddy that needed to lose 100 pounds. It's like, no man, you need to lose 5 pounds 20 times. Yeah, but like I hear like the more you lose, like you got to try even harder because it's harder to lose. Hey, listen, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And the person you will have become in order to require to work harder. You'll be, hey man, when we first just lose this 25 pounds and now losing 30 to 40 becomes harder, but you're now this guy that was capable of losing 25 pounds. So the bridge we need to cross when we get there that you're worried about, you've become the guy prepared to cross the fucking bridge. You guys are going to be the same way, right? And like what's so cool about like you guys seeing my family, seeing my lady, and like watching my sons play around and seeing all the fucking Nerf guns or seeing the home. And he knows this too. Like I love nice shit. You guys see my cars and whatever. But the real like thing behind that is there's only so many people out there right now that are giving permission to go out and chase and become like what they want to be. And like you guys being able to see my home, you're not the first to see it. I kind of keep it private. I show stories and stuff. I don't get fucking too crazy with it, but it's like you can kind of see it. But if you get invited to come here, whatever, maybe like you a little bit more access. But like, and we've talked about it forever. Like that's literally a physical form of giving you guys permission to go get what's possible. But if somebody's not doing it, especially in real estate, man, because like people, and like no disrespect to like teachers or anyone else, no disrespect. If no one's ever living a dream that they keep telling you to go do, it's just hard. It's really hard, right? But when you can see guys like physically fucking doing it, not only does it give you permission, it's also fucking possible. And you're getting both of that from that. And like for me, man, like we talked about it as we started growing and like, man, should we show stuff? Should we not show stuff? And like, I know my intent. If somebody wants to misread that or get weird, fuck you. All good. Kindly. Not like aggressively fuck you. Just like, yeah, cool, fuck you. No problem. Like, because if that's your narrowed perception, hey man, all good. Live your life. But there's very few people like Andy Frisella will expose some things. He was a big one for me because I don't take the guy insulting. Right. But he's a super assertive, aggressive fucking, but I don't take him insulting. But he'll show cars and different stuff and like
inspiring as fuck.
Yeah. It is, dude. It is, right? So like when him and I first started growing, you know, and we were doing things, it was like, hey man, as people start to grow around us, like I do kind of want to be that guy that's not afraid to go do some of that to, again, not only give permission because I'm doing it, but you can also see it.
And it's why we're all fucking here anyway. Right. It's why we're all here. Like if you're in real estate, I'm sorry, you want to make some fucking money. And it's like, I'm not watching a fitness dude to see him wearing hoodies and sweats all the time. I want to see him shredded and fucking jacked and veiny. And
there's
like,
just not enough realtors that actually are capable of it. You have a lot of people calling themselves top producers or out there teaching shit. Show it, bitch. But then they don't show stuff. They don't talk numbers. So it's like, hey man, there's just too many smoke and mirrors. So when like you live a certain life with good intention behind it, it's like, hey man, there ain't no bullshit here. Ain't no bullshit here.
And there was such a long time. I remember like when I was getting ready for like competitions or whatever, when I would literally like bring different set of clothes to the gym because I didn't want to wear my tank top to the grocery
offend.
store because I didn't want to be a douchebag, right?
Yeah.
And I did that for a long time. And then eventually I came to realize I saw a fucking fit ass dude in the grocery store wearing a tank top, all fucking jacked.
Yep.
And I caught myself looking in his fucking cart. And I was like, man,
Permission.
you're worried about the couple assholes are like, oh, look at this douchebag.
Yep.
I'm cool. I know I'm not a douchebag. Probably to some people. I know I'm not. But then, man, when I just stopped giving a shit about it, first of all, I felt better. Second of all, like, yeah, people are like, hey, man, what you fucking got in there? And they're like making small talk and stuff. And I was like, damn, dude, like, there's so many people that like you're missing out on.
And if someone deems you a douchebag because they just see you in a grocery store, hey, man, that says more about them.
Right.
For sure.
Than it says anything about you, bro.
I was gonna say, like, it's leaving it up to them and their ego and their personal beliefs on how to judge you. They can either get inspired by the house and the cars and stuff, or they can get pissed off and say, fuck these rich people and whatever.
And I'm in it
then
for the
guess
people that are
what? They're
inspired.
putting that into the world and they'll never get those things.
Of course.
100%.
And I'm in it for the people that are inspired.
Right.
I love inspiring.
Yep.
But that the next step to inspiration is showing them that it's possible.
Right.
Because I can inspire you guys to go do it, but if you can't see that I'm also doing it, how much are you going to let me lead you?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep.
So like you guys being able to physically see that not only are you inspired, but there's just an example set. Now it's like, well, fuck that, right? And I feel like both of those are just needed, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense?
The coolest part to me too is that
The coolest part to you?
the coolest part to me is that you're one decision away from like this pivot point. So
me metaphorically. I thought
for
you were
us-
like literally going to say the.
no, the
I'm
coolest
like,
part to
you've
you.
never been that fucking.
the coolest part to you, Will.
No,
but man,
you
like
mean
when,
me in general.
when we were at Berkshire and we were having our team in, we like, man, at least me, I was still broke as fuck.
Right.
Like I took a screenshot. Funny enough, like we won like at the awards, and that week I was negative 37 cents in my bank account.
Yeah.
You know what he does now? He just takes a screenshot of his screenshot so he can have a new timestamp.
Yeah.
And show it to me. For the rest of his life, he will always show me how broke he is to like write
Dude,
this
all my money,
fucking
fucking
narrative.
sorry, bro.
Yeah.
No, but man, like now you fast forward and COVID's here. We're doing a podcast. We have these fucking guys on our podcast who are talking about doing YouTube.
Yep.
We get done with that episode, and Will and I look into her like, should we fucking try this?
Yep.
Let's do it. Let's try this.
Yeah.
Fuck, we'd be good at this.
Well,
Let's try
here's
it.
what's cool. We already had the hard work. We already had a lot of great skill sets to us. There's like this twofold thing in business. Let's compare it to like race car driving. Yes, you do need to get better at being a race car driver. Also, getting into a more proficient, faster, better race car
Yeah.
Yep.
helps too. Correct?
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
we started working with YouTube and it's like we took our skill set over here that no matter how great we were at it, there's just a certain limit to that how fast that vehicle can go.
Right.
We put it over here into this thing, and it was just a faster fucking car. And then you got to assess because now you're going faster. So now you got to tighten the bolts because now little things here and there that are a little bit more forgiving over here ain't forgiving at that speed.
Yeah.
You've got to, right?
Yeah.
But we were prepared to make those adjustments as we grew. We were the guys we needed to be to take on more, but it did help that it was just a larger fucking vehicle. Same
Right.
thing goes to the framework of brokerages that we talk about offline, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, that does matter. No matter what you do or how great you get, there are going to be some frameworks that just organically are limiting.
Right.
Sure.
But man, it was that one podcast, that one decision, having those guests on, like, and we would have figured some stuff out eventually, but we would have made a fucking $1 million last year.
Right.
If it weren't for that.
Yep.
You know, it wouldn't have been. Like, it's just crazy to think about how, man, one decision.
And Eli's favorite is he gets the ball out like that, smoking weed and doing mushrooms when he wants. Right? Because Eli's his own daddy.
I'm
yeah.
responsible. Only on the weekends now.
Yeah.
Dude, it was fun. That's another podcast.
Yeah.
Well, we've already done a mushroom podcast. We'll do more
we'll have
mushrooms
another
again.
one.
And like, it'll be super
We'll have
fun.
like the super dose
Yeah.
mushroom podcast.
But it's been fun. It's been fun having you boys here. I know you guys are still in town for a
We
little bit
appreciate
longer.
it, man, for
You guys
sure.
gonna go crash my truck or vandalize it while you're in the
Oh,
mountains
yeah.
this weekend. And
Make sure I total it.
Will's given these guys, these twin Marine brothers, his fucking TRX.
It's not a good idea.
Bad
I know.
idea. Yeah.
I've already got like I like made sure I had like the right insurance. And
There
like,
you go.
Hey, is there catch on fire insurance?
Yeah, right.
My agent's like, what are you talking about? Like, nothing, dude. Just answer the question. That's why I pay you. Is there catch on fire insurance?
Shit.
Okay,
Now,
great. There it is.
where can people find you guys?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Anthony M. Hamilton.
Okay.
And then Facebook under the same name, Anthony Hamilton. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and Avery Hamilton, I think it's 18 on Facebook. And then on Instagram, real Avery Hamilton.
Awesome.
And
You're the real one. He ain't the.
Yeah. Now we're super appreciative of the opportunity to come out here, guys. And I mean, I know I've been learning a lot.
Good.
Just talking to you guys, filled with value. You know,
Just
just
to
getting
start.
out here, and
But our goal-
it's just a start, and you know.
And I think our goal right now is a year from now, right? Whatever date it is today, a year from now, come back on the podcast with some.
Hell yeah.
With some.
Well, you guys are either
some
balling out
results.
or I'm making fun of you.
Yeah,
Because for,
We're
the
on
next
the
year,
podcast regardless.
'cause for the next year, I'm just going to be like sending you guys screenshots of my revenue share and what we're doing.
Yeah.
So you do have a decision to make. There's a good one and a bad one. The bad one is like salt in the wound, man.
Right.
You
Right, yeah.
You don't want the because if
shit.
I'm sending those messages, you want to be sending me messages of yours going, "Yep, we're right with you, buddy." Here's where, you know what I mean?
And
just a year behind, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
100%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You guys are actually going to catch up because we've pioneered a lot of what we've done. We've put in a lot of systems and processes to make sure that, in addition to the other people around us that people get value from,
Yep.
we also just want it to be a hub of value. So when people, if they were deciding to come over, they could directly plug in.
Yep.
So we didn't say shit for 2 years
Yeah.
to make sure it was built the right way.
Yep.
Everyone else coming now that gets to plug into our system, they don't have to wait 5 fucking minutes.
Right.
Right.
Because of that, which is awesome. So you guys will actually, if that's the decision you make, you might grow faster than us.
Right.
We're growing crazy right now since January.
Yep.
But again, we had a 2-year pause. So even if you weren't growing as fast as us, but you just start growing from your within your first 2 years, which you will, you could actually have a faster pace in the beginning than him and I just because of that. So believe it or not, you guys can actually gain a lot of time back because you're being able to. But if you're growing, we're growing. That's why we did it in the fucking first place. We wanted that for people. You know what I mean?
And so Avery talked about providing value to you guys earlier, right? And so in that sense, you know, I think now we're committed. You know, we were provided this opportunity. Come out here, you know, chill with your family. Your family doesn't fucking know us, right? Like,
Well, they do because if I sign off on you,
yeah, right.
they're good people.
And, but like realistically, like, you know, because my wife said before coming out here is like, his wife is just letting you guys stay in the house, like, and I'm like, you don't get it. Like, this dude's a special operations guy. If we try to fucking anything, like, you know, we're 6 feet deep, right? But
and in addition to that, she took our kids to a hotel resort.
right, yeah.
Right, like she and like the reason why she did that wasn't because like I tell her what to do and I kicked her out of our house. It was because as much as like having the kids around are fun, we also needed time to just brainstorm last night and talk about different stuff. And like I was talking to one of you about, I was talking to Junior last night about some listing information too, and like as much as kids are fun, they can be distracting at some point. And I gotta go put them to bed and like, but that's how on board she is with me.
Yeah.
And that's her as a teammate where she's like, hey, we appreciate our life.
No question.
And that helps it. Hey, cool. We're going to go pop smoke for a night and go have some fun at the pool and playing putt-putt and staying in a hotel. And like she came and then they were back today. So then you guys were able to hang out with them today and stuff for a couple of hours, which was super cool. But she allows the opportunity because she understands what it takes. She understands the atmosphere of just having those moments of connection and brainstorming and different stuff. She allows that to come into fruition for what it needs to be. And then, then she comes back today and you guys get to meet her. But that's teamwork, man. Like that's real support, real conviction behind. It's not just me and just him. Like, our families are supportive, and you guys come back. You guys stay at the house with your kids, or like if your wives come and your kids stay wherever you guys live, well, then she would stay because then it's like, man, like your wife can pick her brain.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is what it's like, and him, Megan and Eli can come over, and like now they're starting to create some other circle of friends with not only just good girls, but like wives that are in a similar position to the grind that you guys are embarking on. And like, man, proximity with that and support there becomes super cool. And like, that's a great resource for your wives.
And so I guess what I'm saying is, I mean, we're so appreciative. We're making sure that we're going back and we're executing on the things that, because if we came out and you guys provide value and we went back and we just fucked off, like, you know,
well, even if you guys decided to not necessarily partner with us, there was no expectation. The expectation we have is on us to, hey, if we think someone's important, we're gonna make them feel as such.
Yeah.
While also allowing them to still make a decision for themselves, right? Like, so the standard is like, this is our brand. This is our reputation. This is our brand. This is how we treat people that we feel have an opportunity to come do a little bit more over here.
Yeah.
That actually have the capacity for it, right? Like, so it's important for us and for him and I to like adhere to that. Like, that's an impression. We've got guys with us now, guys, that saw us a year ago. Just wasn't the right time in their life then.
Right.
They were at the event last night and they were like, guys, you've just never detered from your brand and from what you're doing. And like, and by the way, we've never made them feel bad for just needing to make a decision where they were at, which makes them comfortable enough to come now. Some of you, we reach out more one-on-one like you guys, because we do think you're at the right time. And we do think the pivot would be great for you, right? But other folks, it's like there's just never been any expectation on anyone. It's like, man, we're just going to stay tried and true to our brand. And because we do a lot of our own volume, we don't fucking need anybody to do shit. I'm not convincing anybody of anything. The brand and our work ethic and reputation will speak for itself, and then just let it be that, right? Sometimes less is more. You start white knuckling things and talking to, like, you start convincing someone of such. Well, now you're actually tarnishing kind of what you built, right? So like we were fully prepared for, hey, whatever that's going to be, man, we just got to make sure that we represent our brand. Like, if we want you guys to take a look at what we're doing, we just need to just see it organically for what it is. Make a decision. But if him and I didn't do that and represent our brand the right way, then and then you make a decision to not do something per se. Were we even fair to you by giving a good perspective? Probably not. So it's more of the expectation that him and I have on each other to hold a standard. And you guys are going to be the same way with your brand.
Yeah, I mean, just understand though, like, our goal is to go back and provide the value back that, hey, we fucking heard you.
You're going to go back, and we're going to, from the sound of it, we're going to rock some boats. And I will tell you, tactically, a lot of times you do got to make a change. Okay? Very rarely does a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers situation happen where Aaron Rodgers was willing to wait 4 years. And then Brett Favre bounced and then didn't bounce and then whatever. Here's the problem. In sports, at some point, Brett Favre just can't play. It is a waiting game. In entrepreneurship, in real estate and business, people are around 100 years. There's just players at offices, and because those players pay in a lot of money and fund an office, they're the lead role in that movie. You will not be the lead role in that movie. You branch off, whatever it may be, and star in your own movie. It might not be the biggest movie ever made the first time you step out. But because you're the brand now, where the fuck is Dwayne Johnson at?
Yeah, no shit.
And he didn't follow. And if you go listen to some of where he's spoken on his Instagram and some like stuff he spoke at for the LA Lakers and stuff, you'll start realizing real quick what he did and why he was staying away from certain, and he wanted to be that brand. Well, when he was first wanting to be the brand, he's getting lower budget movies, but he did a great job. He was getting more stuff, and now he's the highest paid actor on the fucking planet above everyone he was behind. If he'd have sat behind playing Cole, muscle dude, security roles, because, well, Mark Wahlberg's in this movie, so like, if I can just even be like partial role, it's like you're bottlenecking yourself into that type. You didn't, right? So like for you guys, metaphorically transitioning, right, to like these teams you're talking about, and it's like you're playing their game right now. Because that's the game. That's the show in town. That's why when I talk about rocking, like you make a pivot. You don't have to like these people are in the fast lane, but they're like going slow. Like, hey man, if you switch lanes, however fast you want to go, and like that's where like
that's a good analogy.
And you'll be fucking surprised how many people start. Low key talking to you.
And so
you'd also be surprised how many girls on that team probably want their own shit too.
Okay?
But they don't know any other way to be successful. And I'm only saying that contextually because we've had people from really big fucking teams want to go out and have their freedom to do their own thing. Weird, right?
True.
So the last thing I want to say is for anyone who's listening who wasn't at the event yesterday and didn't hear it, Will had said something that I told him hit me pretty hard. And it was after you had given all your compliments about him and everything, and
backhanded,
you know, which
compliments.
Hey, Will's the craziest guy I know. And it's like,
I think that's fucking cool. By the way,
sorry, it's true.
Yeah,
sorry.
I think that's cool that you have the humility to go out there and brag on him, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
But in front of how many 150 people
true.
or whatever.
You're so clever how you fool people.
So what he said though was he was talking about his kids, right? And he said everything that dad is already done. Right. And so like for us, now that he has a 2-year-old, I have an 8-month-old, I'm like, she wasn't there for like that part of my life. That part of my life was like the Marine Corps where I was performing optimally. I was at my best. Right. And
they'll see pictures.
Right. And I'm like, I'm not cool with that. I gotta like the story. I need to write a second story now.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
And so all I'm saying is like, we're gonna go back, and people better watch the fuck out because
Hell yeah. It's
gonna be
you know
good.
because fires are lit and people won't know what's coming. You posted the other day like you didn't even see us coming or whatever.
Yeah,
but we've
Yeah.
been here the
of you
whole
guys.
time.
But we've been here the whole time. Yeah,
We've
And-
literally, dude, we've literally like tried to help where we were at,
yeah.
and it was like trying to give somebody like CPR. They didn't want it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they need it.
Yep.
They didn't want it, and you're like, like man, like. But I was posting it the other day before our event, like,
Yeah.
man, I don't think anybody saw us coming.
Yeah.
Like literally, like,
I
like
think-
hiding out in the open, man.
I think
Like,
unless the people are there, and here's the thing, like we've seen you guys coming, even from your social media that you've been doing. You know what I mean? You know, you guys are on our radar, and it's like, man, we just take notice.
well,
you know?
one of you, was it you and I talked on the phone?
Yeah, a couple times. Yep.
Yep.
Well, a long time ago.
Yep.
No expectation.
When I left my 9 to 5.
Yep.
When I left my 9 to 5, you had like reached out to me, said, "Hey, bro, call me." Called you, and you're like, "Hey, man, don't explain yourself. Don't make any explanation as to why you're leaving. Like, you don't need to explain yourself to anyone, right?" And I think that video that I made was basically around the fact that like, hey, I like what I do, but it ain't for me, and I want more out of my life and whatever. And I think this is a good path, right? But that was like the start of interaction. And that was a year ago, August of
least.
2021.
Yeah, crazy.
That was a year ago because I left my job at the end of August. So that was the first time that we
awesome.
spoke. But
no expectation, no nothing. You know, so like
No.
when we did decide to reach out to you guys, it was organic. It was like, hey man, it's a good time.
like I didn't even know that you were even tuned into my Facebook. You know what I mean? Like
I see
I didn't know it
everything.
was there.
He
I see
does.
everything. Every
He does.
everything.
All right.
No,
No,
man.
super
So,
cool though. Super
appreciate
appreciative. Thank you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah,
We
100%,
appreciate
man.
you guys.
We're gonna do some food, have some fun. There's like a festival in town, so you guys
yeah.
can like, you guys
Fuck
can go do
around.
twin stuff and.
Yeah.
See if it'll be fun for you guys to see Castle Rock and like
Yep.
some of those fun festivals. So you guys have some fun tonight. You guys gonna stay down here at the condo and have a good time, and
Cool.
you'll like that condo. And shout out to Dan Price, our buddy.
Yeah.
He's got a condo down here that he uses for his own personal clients and stuff. He's outside of real estate, but it's a cool spot. You guys just don't crash the place.
Yeah.
You know.
No, we're appreciative, man. And
I think if anyone would crash the place, it would be fucking Dan.
No shit.
We'll leave that offline. He's a crazy cat,
Shout out to
but
Dan.
he's a super cool dude. But no, appreciate you guys being on, and
yeah,
Yeah,
thank you very
likewise.
much.
everyone listen out, man. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.
Day $1
Appreciate it.
We're out of here. He always tries to get the last word.
Yeah.
Hey, yo.